Space, the final frontier. This is a review show for Star Trek The Next Generation. Its continuing mission to explore interesting plot points, to seek out goofs and continuity errors, to boldly go where no other TNG review show has gone before. It's Wednesday. It's 8 o'clock. It's the TNG review show. Yay. Whoop, whoop. You got to take yourselves off mute.
I completely forgot to take myself on mute.
Oh dear. Good evening, everyone. It is us. We're back to discuss or to put into the vaults another episode of Star Trek The Next Generation. I am joined primarily this evening with my co-hosts, Maz and McBob. Good evening, Maz.
Hello.
And the newly named Tavikin Turner. Good evening to you, Tavikins.
How are you, beautiful people?
I am well.
Oh,
I'm well.
wonderful, wonderful. Stu Plum, Ruth, Smiler Rainbow.
Smiler Rainbow this evening is down our holiday home. She's not here with me, so I'm hoping she will be on in a little bit. Oh, yeah, she is going to be on, but she's she's away this evening, so I'm flying solo here. So exciting times. Now, I did say last week that this episode tonight we would be doing as a open mic. If anybody else wants to come on, feel free. So there's the link to the studio in live chat. If anybody wants to come and join us, feel free.
I would say Stu Plum, come join us, but I know it's not your thing. Maybe Ruth, you've not been on before. Click the link if you want to come and say hi.
Yeah. Yes. So, how's everybody been enjoying the heat?
Has it been hot where you are, Tavikins?
Ooh, it's warm, but it's cold compared to everybody else's warm. It's barely 25, not even, in between 20, 25.
Still pretty warm.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's been up in the sort of late 30s here, which is unusual for the UK. But yeah, it's been quite fun. A little bit difficult to sleep at night sometimes, but it's good.
It's very warm in my room here, I tell you.
Yeah, this is why I'm not only my blood wine, but lots of iced water as well.
I have water here as well too. I'm trying to keep hydrated. Has anybody got a fan?
I only have an alcoholic beverage.
Mm.
I've got a fan on me. Is that what you're hearing?
Yeah, I'm possibly hearing some blowing on a mic.
How about now?
Oh, that's better. Thank you very much.
Better.
Yeah, sorry.
Oh, now I have to get ice water.
yeah. It's hot.
Okay,
It's
what's
hot.
the policy on not wearing clothes? I'll just have to move my camera up. It is getting too warm.
I was thinking about my
Policy
uniform. I
is you
tell
wear
you.
whatever you like, or not wear whatever you like.
Oh
Yeah.
my goodness.
Yeah.
And
You
suddenly,
cannot see what's going on below your neck.
there we go.
Yeah, I won't stand
I'll keep
up.
the
Don't
illusion
worry.
that I am dressed. Yeah, I'll try not.
Yeah, I was in two minds of whether
actually,
to put the
it's
uniform
28.
on. I'll tell you, it was a bit
28. Warm.
28.
It's 28 degrees.
It's
Impressive.
pretty warm. It is pretty warm. Ruth says maybe next time she's. Oh, I'm sorry to hear that, Ruth. She's suffering with back pain this evening. So yeah, sad to hear that.
Hope you feel better
Glad
soon.
you took the time
Yeah.
to stay on.
Yeah, that's it. Just lay up,
Hardcore.
rest your back, and just watch us for a little
Yeah,
while.
that's right.
You're not getting extra points.
And
Might get some
extra.
extra
You
points.
never know. You never know if I'm feeling generous. Apparently I'm as far as Crystal Karen is concerned, I have a good voice that will put you to sleep. So
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
because she goes to sleep often on Fortnite, doesn't she?
yeah, all this. So you never know. Listening to me, you might end up going to sleep, and that'll sort you out.
It's like
Very soothing
ASMR.
voice.
Yeah, ASMR.
Just
Yes,
talk soothingly.
yes.
Let's review this week's episode.
The loss. Yeah. So
You spice it up and just say I got one of those sexy radio midnight voices. Be like, your evening, midnight TNG.
yeah, I've realised actually I've got my mic on default settings, and there's more I can do to make myself sound more robust. So I'm in coming weeks I might play around with the mic settings to see if I can get a better timbre. Is that
Yeah.
yeah. I don't know, but anyway, it's worth trying.
You try the trailer voice.
Yeah, I want that
Movie
sort of
trailer.
like that deep sort of like radio DJ kind of like late night DJ voice. You know, it's really like
Yeah.
deep but yeah. Anyway, this side.
I might have babies on the
Experimentals.
loose.
Uh-oh. Invasion incoming.
I feel like I'm always having to tell them that you don't have to ask permission to use the toilet. This isn't jail.
It's not school. Yeah.
Oh, bless. That's so cute.
Bless them. What was I going to say? Oh, yeah, Maz. I don't know if you can put a something in our WhatsApp chat thing to say, remind Karen it's TNG night. just in
will do. I'll
case.
remind Karen and
Yeah.
Mickey.
Okay,
No
so
problem.
this is tonight we're talking about The Loss. It's episode 10 of season 4, and it's production number 40274-184. It was first aired on the 31st of December 1990, so New Year's Eve. It's the 83rd episode to be both produced and released. The original story for this episode was by Hilary J. Bader. It's one of 2 episodes she wrote the original story for. The second one being Hero Worship, a Data episode, I think. She wrote a lot of DC animated series, cartoons like Superman and the New Adventures of Batman. But she died in 2002 of breast cancer, unfortunately, at the age of 50, which is sad. So she did the original story, and then she worked with Alan J. Adler and Vanessa Green on the teleplay for the episode. They were brought in to teleplay the story up, but this is the only episode that they worked on. They were just brought in for this episode. And sadly, Vanessa Green in that duo, she also died of breast cancer in 2017 at the age of 63. So,
Goodness.
yeah, a sad coincidence. This episode was directed by Chip Chalmers. It's his second of 4 episodes, the last one being Captain's Holiday. I think we talked a bit about him then. He teaches film at Florida State University. So, yeah, there's a bit about this episode. Who wants to see the trailer?
I do. What a
You know you
downer,
do.
Monty.
You know you do. Here you go. Here is your trailer.
Stripped of her betazoid powers,
I don't sense anything.
crippled by the devastating loss,
It's time I accept the truth, Captain, and resign as ship's counselor.
helpless during an urgent call to duty.
We need you.
I'm absolutely lost. You have to do something.
There's brain damage.
I don't know what to do.
Powerless in the face of destruction on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
Sorry, I was just getting down with the music. Episode.
No, that was some real funky
Ding, ding,
80s
ding,
bass
ding.
slapping there, wasn't it? We got Karen in chat. Says sorry.
Hey!
That's okay, Karen. You came. It does not matter if you were late.
Aaron arrived.
And we got Good John in chat as well. So we got maybe 6 players for the game.
Woo! Woohoo! Okay. Oh, what have I done with? Oh, there you are.
She says she won't fall asleep. She promises.
No,
There might not
no
be enough
worries, Karen.
Picard.
Okay, so
Yeah, not a lot of Picard in this. Sorry, Karen.
no, not a lot of Picard. I've squeezed as much data in there as possible for the Brent Spiner fans amongst us.
I must say, this is one of Picard's, like one of his very delectable leadership roles. Because when I saw that, and from a military point of view, I'm like, oh, look how he handled that. So, yeah, well, he gets attention anyway.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. Okie dokie. Right, so on with the teaser. In Troy's office, here we are. Councillor Troy's conducting a session with Ensign Janet Brooks, who I think goes to the same hairdresser as Beverly Crusher. She's got that 90s mum hairstyle, you know. It's, just a note on the office here. The last few times we saw Troy's office, it was very pink, but they dialed back the pink for this episode. In the original, it looked almost blue. They put like a blue filter on it, but in the HD here, you can see that the back wall is still pink, and so it still has got some pink in it. But yeah, just change the color of the office. Also, just a little note on Ensign Brooks here is played by Kim Braden, who played Picard's wife in Star Trek Generations. So
Oh,
there you go. Did you know that,
I didn't
Matt?
realize that.
Yeah.
I did
What?
not know that.
Oh, yeah.
When
Yeah,
I think when he's
the
in
Christmas
the
party.
when he's in the Nexus and he's like living in Victorian, his ideal Victorian family, you know. He looks straight out of a Dickens novel or something. Yeah, she's his wife. So because that was
Sean says there's Janeway's couch, and he also says that haircut in Scotland is known as a muckbob.
a muck bob.
What, like a
muck
Mazamuck bob?
A Mazamuck bob.
That's my name.
You got it.
Is that a joke or is that true?
I don't know. I think you should try that hairstyle out.
I could, yeah, I'd have to have a few inches chopped off though.
You would, yeah. Yeah. So anyway, that led me wondering, do you think then Ensign Brooke here, do you think Picard had like, you know...
That was my first comment. I'm like, oh, if you're dreaming her up in the Nexus.
You know, she's an ensign, I can't... But she does look a bit like Beverly, and I can't really have Beverly. What's the next best thing? Oh, there's that cute ensign who looks a bit like Beverly Crusher. And the Nexus, made it true.
Yeah. She's all furred out. She can pop out all 20 of them kids he had in that Nexus.
Yeah.
Story.
He kept her busy. So the deal here is Brooks is avoiding grieving for her dead husband, Mark, by throwing herself into her duties. Troi points out... It's Mark with a C. I know, my name. Yeah.
I have to bring up the one fact that, okay.
All right.
Okay, so Picard is getting it. He's got the hots for Beverly Crusher, whose husband is dead.
Oh, no. I just realized.
Stop. And then you see this chick, and this chick's in the Nexus, looking like Beverly Crusher. Her husband is also dead. Dude is sick.
Wow. He definitely has a type, right?
Karen, you gotta watch this guy. You would have dyed that hair red and get you a big bob. If you got a mister, get rid of him.
Oh, no. That's hilarious. Well, it's not hilarious about her husband, but...
yeah.
In a dark way, it is.
Another sad coincidence.
Another sad coincidence. And his name's Mark, spelt the same way as me as well. So
yeah.
Troi points out... Troi points this out and says, hey, you know, it's his birthday today, right? Brooks is like, wow, you have good records. But she admits that last night she realized for the first time that she was gone. He was gone. Oh, no, that's not right. Not there. Come over here. Next picture. There she is, like suddenly all sad. She says she looked around for something that belonged to him, but forgot that she told them to take everything away. I don't know who they are, who she told to take away, but... Troi reaches into her cupboard and pulls out an ornate music box thing. And Brooks is very glad to see it, and she cries. Meanwhile, on the bridge, Riker and Picard enter the bridge. I picked a... Even though I'm talking about Riker and Picard, I chose a picture look of Data. I noticed at the beginning of this scene, before Riker and Picard enter through that turbo lift door over there, that it looks like Data's like laughing at something, or he's having a little smirk to himself at the beginning of this scene. Like, I don't know, they just maybe had an outtake and they all laughed, and then they immediately restarted the scene, and he hadn't quite fully composed himself yet. But anyway, that's just a little thing I noticed.
Sean says Beverly could be with Picard, or she could go for the Shakar Scottish Ghost Candle. Decisions.
Yeah.
Oh, she's such a lucky lady with so many choices.
So many choices. Yes, Riker and Picard are entering the bridge, talking about holodeck holidays. Data looks like... Oh, yeah, I told that. I mean, it looks like something amusing. Worf reports that sensors have picked up something, but it's gone again. Data doesn't find any unusual readings. Oh, what? I just moved. My pictures are all going all over the place. Right, here we go. Outside Deanna's office, Troy's trying to say goodbye to Ensign Brooks, but suddenly comes over a bit funny. She agrees to see Brooks again tomorrow, and then gets a splitting headache. On the bridge, Data reports that stuff has appeared, and then disappeared again. But question number one, what stuff did he say appeared? Was it A, an aggregate field of oppositely polarized objects? B, a tachyon field of oppositely polarized objects? C, an
Bathroom.
an aggregate field of plane polarized objects. I don't know what's going on down there either. Or D, a tachyon field of plane polarized objects. Now, unfortunately, I don't have Smiler Rainbow here to put all that into chat. So
Oh my goodness.
I could try if you want.
Well, just tell us what the differing words were.
Here you go. I'm going to give it a go.
Okay, then. And I mentioned in chat, but Sean and Karen, I know you came on a bit later, but there is a link at the top of chat if you want to come on live, join us on the show, come and talk about your thoughts and feelings. Feel free to join us.
There you go. There's the answer. There's the answers.
Oh.
An aggregate field of oppositely polarized objects, a tachyon field of oppositely polarized objects, an aggregate field of plane polarized objects, or a tachyon field of plane polarized objects. What did data report appeared and then disappeared again?
I don't have the slightest clue.
Oh, I have some proper red wine tonight, by the way. Just thought I'd let you know.
As opposed to fake red wine.
Well, it's not the white variety. It's actually red.
Oh, right. Yes, it was white last
It's
week,
not
wasn't it?
actually blood.
Not blood. Yes, I do too. And we happen to be both drinking the exact same type of wine. We just opened the
think-
same one by accident. Another coincidence. It's an evening of coincidences.
A quinky dink. We both, just to prove it, we've both got Tyrrell's Blacksmith Hut Heathcote Shiraz.
There we go.
Quinky dink.
Oh wow.
That wasn't planned. That was just siblings there having their boop, 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 mind moments. Yeah. Okay. Yeah, so moving on, whilst people are getting the answers into chat.
I do not know, so I'm going to do what Tavikin says and shoot for C when I have no clue.
Oh,
That's just all I do.
if in doubt, go for C.
That's just what I do. Even if it's probably wrong.
Picard orders full stop, and Deanna takes a nap in her office. Well, we've all done that, right? No, just me. Just me. Okay.
She looked sort of peaceful there.
Yeah.
Well, I don't know. Did you really used to go to sleep in the office, or did you used to go to a toilet cubicle and then fall asleep?
It's been known to happen. It's been known.
I'm bold. I just like, you know what? Let's not pretend. We know what's about to happen.
Now it just happens in this chair.
What, in the middle of a meeting?
Yeah, the thing is the chair rotates back. So
I've had actual meetings where I've just gone to sleep.
Yeah. It's
I
happened.
mean, or sometimes, and then I'll stand up, like, and then people start speeding that agenda up, or I'll stand up and they'll notice me standing in the back of the room. Like, I got to stand up. I can't do this. My brain's going in the screensaver right now. You guys got to follow the agenda.
I like it. Stand up because you can't sleep standing up. That's clever.
You can, though, and it has happened to me, and my knees buckle, and it makes the meeting even worse.
Oh no!
Yes. I have had it once, I think, once or twice in the past year, where I've like jump scared myself awake, and I realised that I'm now in a Teams meeting of one. Everybody else is gone.
Oh no!
Whoops.
I went to sleep marching once when I was in basic training. We were that exhausted.
Wow.
So
Yeah, so anyway, that was the end of the teaser. So is there anything else, Maz, from the teaser to note?
Nothing in particular. I mean, there was some, stuff about the fact that this is the first episode without Will. We mentioned his departure last time. So, yay for those who can't stand the Wheaton. Yeah, and as you mentioned, Hilary J. Bader. Also, there's, I think it's the region. There is. Oh, actually, have you got a question about the name of the region?
No.
Beginning with a T?
Yeah,
Okay.
no.
It's Tilly Bader. And Hilary J. Bader's grandmother was called Tilly Bader. So it was like they named the region sort of after her grandmother. I thought that was quite cute.
Oh, that's very cute. I think Karen, you need to press the live button. I think you're some way behind in the live stream. Make sure you push the live button and answer the question. You're a bit behind on us there. I was just going to point out that Sean was.
Ruth says while she was teaching, she fell asleep in the middle of telling off a child.
Wow.
That's impressive.
That's
You are such a.
Okay.
That's brilliant. Love it.
I was just going back to Sean mentioning this this couch thing. The serpent couch is indeed then reused later on in Janeway's office. They recover it green.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like green. Nice. Green's my favorite color. It's a good color.
But it is the same. It is the same couch. So yeah, well spotted there, Sean. Well spotted. Yeah. So to the answer then, was it basically aggregate and oppositely polarized, or tachyon and oppositely polarized, or aggregate and plane polarized, or tachyon and plane polarized? It was C. Aggregate and plane polarized.
That was such a guess. When Sean and Ruth instantly went in with a D, I thought, well, that's got to be it then. But actually, then Stu Plum and Kaz also said C, as well as Tavi and me. Was that a 20-pointer?
That was a 20-pointer. So yeah, only small points. Probably the hardest question of the night. But yeah, well done those guys that got that one. It's pretty difficult. I thought that started on a hard one.
Victory.
I thought it was really difficult, so I did make the answer C. Just for those who guess.
You did that on purpose.
I might have done. Yeah. Okay, so onwards to act number 1. We're on the bridge. There we go. On the bridge, there's no further sign of any anomalies, so they decide to carry on course to what was it? Tilly Beta.
Yeah.
Tilly Beta. I think.
Tilly Beta.
Tilly Beta. Yeah. Picard asks Data how fast they need to go to put them back on schedule. Data tells them how long it will take to get there, but gives them the figures in to the nearest minute, missing out the seconds. Riker picks him up on this. You didn't say seconds. Today, Data responds that he's noticed that when he estimates things to the nearest seconds, it irritates people.
Yeah.
Now,
sweet.
I'm pretty sure that Riker stood there like frowning. He might be thinking in the back of his mind now, hang on, we're getting sensor anomalies. The sensors aren't working properly. Data's not reporting things to the nearest second. Am I still in a cave with an insect child? It's like, wait a minute.
Nobody tell him there's a computer malfunction causing lag.
Yeah. Where's Wesley? Oh.
The amount of PTSD everyone should have.
That's right, yeah.
I know.
Yeah, so they try to go to warp, but that doesn't go well for them, and they get shaken about. Geordi says the warp field has collapsed. Ensign Allenby reports that they're being pulled sideways. Troi contacts the doctor and reports feeling unwell. The doctor says she's on her way.
I just got to bring this up every time, and I'm not going to bring it up until it's addressed someday.
Okay.
Why can't they just put seatbelts on those damn chairs?
Yeah.
Did you see the panel that Data was eating in that last one? Like, Jesus.
Yeah. He.
So unnecessary. Look at that.
I know, and it's got like ramps and ledges and arches, and it's not. Hey, Sean's come on to join us, bringing Sean onto the stream. Hi, Sean.
Yeah,
Hi,
I was
Sean.
just going to say, Tommy, they did actually put in seatbelts. They did it in the deleted scenes from Nemesis, I think it was. It was one of the Sovereign class films, and there's a scene where he has a new seat, and then he presses the button, and the seatbelt comes on, and then
It does.
Well, it's about damn time.
Yeah.
But then they deleted it, and they reused the chair for Enterprise. I think it was Archer's chair in Enterprise. They're like, oh, I got you a new chair and a seatbelt. When Archer had it, didn't have a seatbelt.
Yes, I've
there you
seen that
go.
deleted scene. Yes.
So they didn't address it, and then they turned it into a deleted scene and never left it. So there you go.
It's
We
amazing
have
it took them
seatbelts,
that
but
long.
You're not going to get those.
No.
Back to eating panel.
Yeah. 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 So, yeah. Okay, so we're on question number 2. When Picard asked Data how fast they need to go to get them back on schedule, what speed does Data say? Is it A, warp 5, B, warp 6, C, warp 7, or D, warp 8? So, when Picard asked Data how fast they need to go to get them back on schedule, what speed does Data say? Warp 5, warp 6, warp 7, or warp 8? A, B, C, or D?
Do you want me to put it in chat?
Yeah, I could do it if you want.
I'm already typing it.
You got it.
Preempting. I think that's it. 5, 6, 7, or 8.
Yeah. 5, 6,
Hi,
7,
Claudia.
8.
Nice to see you.
Hello.
Yes, good evening. Good evening, sir. On the bridge, Picard then orders Ensign Allenby to change heading by 90 degrees, head off at 1/10 impulse. They still don't go anywhere. They're stuck. So they gradually increase speed all the way up to full impulse. We see Geordie in engineering at this point, and the warp engine behind him's going absolutely mad. You know, it's going... I'm thinking to myself, you don't even use the warp engine during impulse, so I don't know why the warp engine's going crazy. But anyway, there it is. There it is. Anyway, the ship starts shaking itself apart, so they stop doing that, and the Enterprise continues to drift sideways. Don't forget you to get your your answers in chat. The doc arrives at Troy's office.
Now.
Yeah.
I was just going to say, I think they do use the warp core at impulse, because if you remember when they moved Deep Space Nine, they created a subspace field to make it move the thrusters faster. So while it's kind of like breaking the speed of sound, you know, there's a real difficulty breaking the speed, but if you create a low level warp field, you don't use it anywhere near the same power, but you still go that a little bit faster. Not 100% on board.
It's a completely different engine. So
Yeah, but if you make that ship a little bit lighter, then it kind of moves a bit faster. I'm not 100%.
Where's my... Oh, you're going to have to see my shorts now. This is not good, is it? I'm going to have to stand
It's all
up.
right. I have no top on other than a bra, so.
That's all right. At least you're not showing builder bum.
It's terrible.
That does sometimes
To be fair,
happen.
I'm just taking my set
a lot
off
cooler
now.
today, but the last few days have been
Hang on.
killer off.
Tavikin said you look lovely in your yellow top, by the way.
Yeah, you're looking pretty. I love the yellow. So,
Oh,
flight
gold,
choice, Sean.
Yeah. Well, you can't really see
Oh, yeah.
it properly on this model, but the impulse engine is actually in the saucer section, and these little red things here on the back are the impulse engines, where the warp and here at the bottom of the neck as well. But the engine's actually in the middle of the in the middle of the saucer section. As I say, in the Enterprise A, on the Enterprise A, it was actually at the back of the saucer section. There was like a big blue circle. But anyway, that was particularly
I like
useless.
how awesomely detailed they get with these ships. They are like for reals.
And speaking of which, what is Beverly got in her hand there? Don't you have one of those to show us?
I do. I got batteries from my tricorder, so I can actually look. The screen lights up. I can scan
Is it the
things.
new one with the purple stripe?
Very cute.
Yeah.
You got one of the little handheld wandy things that she
No, I
uses.
don't have one of the handheld wandy things. This is not a medical tricorder. It's just a standard one.
Makes sense.
Anyway.
Smiler!
Yeah, she said hello all, but she's got a dodgy signal, so she might not be able to stay. She's in the next county over today.
Oh yeah, I'll just go full screen for a minute as we're just chatting and saying hello. We can see Sean's beautiful face now. Look, that's better.
I was just looking up. There's a website called the Prop Store, and they sold a medical tricorder, a screen used one recently. It doesn't say what it sold for, but the estimate was $8,000 to $12,000.
Oh my
So
god.
if you had the price of a car sitting on the hip, you could have bought one, like a screen used one. It even had the little handheld, and it would light up the little scanner bit on. Pretty cool.
That would be very cool. I'd like that.
Smiler's saying to show the tricorder on full screen.
Oh, show the tricorder. Here it is. Look. There you go. There you go.
Bigger this time.
Yeah. I don't know. You can't really make out the screen. It just looks bright white, but
It does look bright.
yeah, you can't really see it. It's like
So actually got on it.
it's got like a graphic on it, but maybe if I switch the light off, you'll be able to see it a bit better. There you go. It's got like it's like L-Cars.
yeah.
It's got like an L-Cars screen on it. Yeah.
Nice.
There you go.
Az wants to see Chewie, as per usual.
Yeah, I'm not.
Stu Plum says that Smiler's in Jannerland, down in Cornwall.
Yeah, she's down in Cornwall in Pasty Land. Yeah, Chewie's not here. I think he's with the kids somewhere. I'm sure he'll be back sometime this evening, and I'll point him out when he's around. Right, let's get back to where were we? Bop, and Bop. So yeah, we're in. The doc has arrived at Troi's office. The Troi's feeling a lot better now for some reason. She wants to take her to sick bay to run some tests, but Riker calls in that he wants all staff to the observation lounge. On leaving her office, though, Troi realizes something is very wrong. Dun 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 dun. In the observation lounge, they discuss what might be going on. You know, they caught in a tractor beam of a cloaked ship or something, but nobody has any idea. They ask Troi if she senses anything, but she doesn't sense anything. Not out there, or even in here. She tells them that they are all blank to her because she's lost her abilities. And that's the end of Act 1. Sad times for Troi. Karen's getting the pasties in chat.
It's all okay because that gorgeous song profile is on screen, so she should be feeling comforted.
She should feel okay about everything.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What a con, Kate.
That's all good.
I've noticed that they've definitely got rid of the screens here now. The like the plastic windows. They're just holes, you know.
Yeah.
It is the curtain rotating.
Just
slowly.
the curtain being dragged across the studio slowly. Yeah. Right. So, firstly, anything with this act, Mazda Bob, that we've missed?
Nothing really obvious, I don't think. Troi at some point in this show wears all three uniforms. It's just doesn't happen in any other episode. But nothing of interest now. Only uninteresting things.
Uninteresting. Okay, so we'll go to the question then. Question number 2. Did Data say they were going warp 5, 6, 7, or 8?
Everybody say B.
Everybody said B? Well, everyone? Mm-hmm. No one said
everybody.
C?
No, nobody said C.
Oh, well, everybody B. Correct.
Yay! Hey.
Yes.
Everybody,
That's 40 points, right?
fighting.
40 points?
Yep, 40 points. Yep.
Cool.
Okay. So on with Act 2 then. As Dr. Crusher conducts some tests on Deanna. It's quite interesting that in Blu-ray we can actually see for the first time the labels on the med bay on the med beds. What's the name of the beds? Bio beds. Sorry. Yeah, you can see. So it's like it's monitoring circulation, respiration, and temperature. So, yeah, good to see that in standard definition, but now you can see that in HD.
Yeah, I think it's deliberately done this out of 3 just so it kind of mimics the 2S ones. But
Yeah.
not so much that it has a bit of lineage there.
Yeah. Yeah,
It reminds me of the TOS things.
Yeah, I'd say that, especially the little arrows, the little the little triangles.
Going up and down.
Yeah, so that's very deliberate.
Bleep, bleep, bleep. Yeah.
I wonder why they chose that color scheme though. Is that like just 80s windbreaker
lime
horrible
and pink.
outfit? But
Interesting.
yeah, that's just that can't be good on the eyes.
No, that wouldn't pass any.
Greens, yeah. Like, do you know those cups, those paper cups that have the little kind of spray paint pattern on them that were ubiquitous? Kind of reminds me of those. I think it is just early 90s, late 80s aesthetic. Wacky colors.
The jazz scheme.
Yep.
I don't know.
Okay, well, anyway, she tells Deanna that she's found some unresponsive neural cells in her brain. Basically, in layman's terms, she has brain damage. She points out that, it's pretty harsh. Betazoids' brains can repair themselves naturally, so that's good. But Deanna, you're half human, so you may be fucked. We don't know. Them's the breaks. Crusher recommends she go talk to a counsellor. Troy's like, F you. I'm out. But she says she's going back to work now and everything will be fine. So, later in the day, Riker visits Troi in her office and offers her an ear for her to talk to. Troi tells him it's horrible when everyone walks on eggshells around you, offering helping hands to a blind woman when you have a disability. Riker's like, but Imazadi. But that doesn't help. She says life goes on, whatever. And basically, in the end, Riker gives up and leaves. But question number 3.
All right, let's get that out.
We hear Riker and Troi refer to each other as Imzadi. We hear that on a number of occasions throughout TNG. But what episode was it first mentioned? Was it A, Encounter at Farpoint, B, Haven, C, Skin of Evil, or D, this episode, The Loss? So, when do we
One more time.
When do we first hear the term Imzadi? Encounter at Farpoint, Haven, Skin of Evil, or The Loss?
I took an educated guess, but I think does it mean beloved or does it mean partner? I can't remember exactly what it means.
In TNG, it means beloved.
Right.
There is a very popular TNG book called Imzadi, a novel. And in a novel, it says it means the one, right? i.e. The first love of your life. But in TNG, they say it means beloved.
Fair enough. Although it wasn't she engaged to be married since she was a kid, so it's kind of unusual.
So I didn't quite hear you then, Sean. You went a bit quiet.
Sorry, I said, wasn't she engaged since she was a kid? She had an arranged marriage set up, so it's kind of an odd one that you know nothing else.
I don't know.
It would mean for you had an arranged marriage.
He's saying that it was kind of odd because she had an arranged marriage ever since she was a kid. So
I don't think she met him till she was older, though, did she? Or
yeah, but still, it's like you getting him. It's a bit tacky.
Right, so that's the question. Get your answers in. I see everybody's following Sean's guess, so good luck with that.
I just
I gotta
don't
say,
know.
with that scene, oh, I like that. See, hold it there. Don't go back to the other scene. We'll just talk about it. To be honest, I'm sorry, this may be raunchy to everyone, but if you're feeling really crappy and Riker comes to your room, the last thing you want is an ear and for him to do all this stuff. Because I was thinking, dude, Riker, be like consoling, but you need to offer some of that good. That makes somebody feel better. Just take your mind off stuff and relax.
He's usually
And I
good
just
at that.
thought that was gonna be, I thought he was just gonna be there and give that hole and just give her a passionate kiss and be like, look, baby, I'm here for you. Just take your mind off of it. Because the last thing you want to do is when you have brain damage, just talk about having brain damage.
Yeah.
Do other things. Riker's the go-to guy for knowing when it's time to inject the dome.
Although in saying that, Deanna's probably used to being able to sense when he's up for it and just, being able to read the situation, where as now she's just like, yeah, I'm not picking up on your signals.
Yeah.
True. That's true.
If you used to read people's minds, you're probably not good at picking up non-verbal cues and the like. You don't develop those skills. So she's just like, I'm completely oblivious to this. I don't know that he wants to give me a good time, shall we say?
Yeah.
Right. In that regard, Riker must freak her out the most.
Yeah.
Because she must have gotten so used to like his,
Constant lustiness.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's kind of like, just the background color of him. And yeah.
You imagine Deanna on the bridge and, this new attractive female race comes on screen and Riker goes, And Deanna's like, really? Again? Not already thinking that?
There is a meme that spread that.
Seriously? No, right.
There's a there's a meme about that where Diana's sitting in the chair and she finally goes, she's like, oh, I'm tired of it. Every 10 seconds, one of you guys is thinking about having sex with me. It's not professional. And then Data turns around and goes, 12.7 seconds for me.
Right, so we're in engineering. Data and Geordi launch a probe to review the data coming back. They don't find anything at first, but after applying various filters, they find that the Enterprise is caught up in a flat cloud of particles. And there we go. We can see the couch. Troi continues her sessions with Ensign Brooks. She feels like a new woman. Brooks is happy to tell Troi about getting over her husband's death overnight. Troi is frank about losing her empathic powers and suggests that, I'm not empathic, but one night of crying can't be the resolution from months of denial. Brooks says she's wrong. You're very wrong, Troi. So Troi drops it, thinking she doesn't know what she's doing. Poor Troi. In the observation lounge.
That's delicious. Look at that.
I find these pictures just for you,
Oh, I love it.
In the observation lounge, Data reports their findings that they are trapped by a swarm of two-dimensional life forms. Geordi says it's a shame that they can't tell if they're sentient, which triggers Deanna, to say she's doing the best she can. And then she storms out of the meeting.
She's like, oh, yeah, it's not about me. Hold on. No,
Whoops. Embarrassing. She heads straight to sick bay and tells the doc she can't do her job. And she has to do something about it. Beverly says you're just going to have to get by with what you've got. Deanna doesn't like that and blames this all on Beverly for not coming to her aid sooner. She then storms off again out of sickbay, heads to her quarters for a bit of a quiet meltdown. And that's the end of Act 2.
That scene kind of pissed me off right there, because in the beginning, when she was asking how she's doing, she didn't mention that she was on the floor in pain. She just said, I'm a bit dizzy, but I don't know if I hit my head. I was like, well, if you tell a doctor that, she does not know how to place you in the triage line here. So she's doing skinned elbows because you're just dizzy. Okay, let me take care of the skin elbows. I'm not running down the hallway for that.
Yeah. Beverly's like looking at her there, saying, "Do you want more brain damage?"
Perfect. You're like, bitch. You are so happy that you can't understand what I'm thinking and feeling right now.
Yeah.
And the fact that
medical training. I mean, most therapists and that, like in the modern day would go through medical school and stuff, wouldn't they? Yeah, they wouldn't just know head stuff.
I think there's degrees of, like, a counselor might not have to, but if you were like a psychiatrist, then probably. I don't know if there's sort of degrees.
That's a fair point.
Yeah.
But the fact that she's the only sort of person that's been affected by this phenomenon also sort of implies that she might be the only, the only empath, or at least the only person who, is for whatever reason have their biology affected by this.
They did say in the beginning of the episode that they had a lot of people reporting dizziness, so at least other mildly empathic species are
maybe
having
any
this
Vulcans
issue.
or
Yeah, Vulcans would be, I would imagine, affected by this. I would have thought.
But if they represented more of a community of people going through this, it would make her sort of less special in her pain, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the last thing we could do with Troi.
Vulcans are touch telepaths. They can't sense emotions unless they're in physical contact. So I'd say that way they can't be transmitted to in the same way, because they're not receiving like a radio. You have to be in contact. You have to be plugged in, basically.
Yeah.
So,
yeah. Right. Is there anything else from Act 2?
Well, it's just the fact that this whole idea of her losing her empathic ability was discussed a lot in the early few series. It kept sort of cropping up as an idea, and it rolled around to like needing a Troi episode, so they decided to do it this time. And obviously they analogize it to losing your eyesight or whatever, but they think that sometimes this episode doesn't land quite so well, because we can sort of relate to the idea of blindness, but we can't really so much relate to the idea of somebody losing their empathy. Having said that, empathic powers, sorry. Having said that, I think she describes it quite well and quite sort of graphically as to how weird it is for her and how it affects her. But yeah, and they also considered making this a permanent thing that she would then have to sort of deal with in the upcoming episodes. So, and that actually, obviously that never happened. They decided to sort of, spoilers, return her to normal by the end of the episode. But they did consider making this a permanent thing. We got Chupu.
There's Chewy
Make
for you, Kaz.
bigger your screen for Kaz. Can you
Hey,
bigger your screen?
Should I make bigger my screen?
Yes.
I'm being
I
like
wouldn't say
today.
they nearly, back when they introduced Thomas Riker, they nearly were going to kill off Will Riker or replace him with Thomas Riker. Make Data first officer, and then he would replace Data, I think, or something to that effect.
Oh,
So
wow.
yeah, they had these ideas of mixing things up like that. They never really followed.
It's difficult when you've got an established pattern. You could end up having quite a reaction from fans if you did a major change to a main character.
But
But make them more cautious, I guess.
Riker, he'd just be Lieutenant Commander, and he'd have to listen to Data. So
Yeah.
but they didn't end up doing it.
Really weird.
And
I
Ruth
thought
said
they
that-
did a really good. Sorry.
I was just going to say, Ruth said that they had the perfect opportunity to do a cool 2D world episode, but they barely touched on it.
I know.
That's all right. They did
I
it
was
in the
thinking
Orville.
2D.
They did 2D in Lower Decks.
Was it Lower
With the
Decks
map.
or was it the Orville? I think they did it in both.
Oh, it
actually.
was the Orville. Sorry,
I think it was the Orville. They
Exactly.
squished the Orville. I'm being
Yes,
licked
yeah,
to death
yeah.
now. Oh God.
The Orville is such a good Star Trek parody that I get mixed up with actual Star Trek.
Yeah, it's
Yeah.
brilliant.
Right.
And Ruth also said a psychologist is a health professional. They don't have a medical degree.
Let's go.
A psychiatrist is a medical doctor. So yeah, psychologist and psychiatrist is different. And I think a counsellor would be potentially one step down again. But I mean, in terms of the qualification requirements. But yeah, I don't know. I'm sure Troi had to do a lot to get onto the Enterprise.
I
I
don't.
don't know. I thought they did a very good job when they were saying that it was like being blind, because that's about as disorienting as it gets
Mm.
with us, other than losing like our sense of balance. And I don't know. I think it just didn't land well because ultimately it felt like she was bitching about
Yeah.
losing her cheat code manual to a video game. So it's
Yeah.
like,
Although
well,
we
you got to
did,
play a video game now.
we
Yeah.
did kind of see that
No
with
cheat
Shram,
codes.
because Shram got his antenna cut off and then he couldn't walk properly and he had trouble sensing the environment around him for a while. Although they didn't really show it on screen much. But they did cover it again, kind of.
Right, back to question 3 then. When did we first hear the term Imzadi? And it was A.
Everybody said A,
Encounter at Farpoint. Yes.
except me.
Yes, when Riker first meets Troi on the Enterprise, when he comes on board, she says to him in her mind, or his mind, you know, she kind of whispers to him in mind, Imzadi, or hello Imzadi, or something.
So we now have 3 people in the lead, which is Tavikins, Kaz, and Stuplum. The rest
But
of us trailing a little, but not by far.
the other options there, Haven, Skin of Evil, and obviously The Loss, were all episodes that reference Imzadi, or they call each other Imzadi. So yeah, it comes up quite a number of times. Yeah, I don't think Karen saw. I got Chewy up on me, licked me to death, and I don't think Karen was here for that bit.
Well, if she wasn't, she can scroll back and watch it.
Yeah, scroll back about 5 minutes. Yeah. That's a scary face there, Tobigins, I have to say. Right, where was I?
Can't hear
That weird
you.
alien in the one episode where it's just a smeared up face and he's perplexed and
Miguel-
entertained by death.
Yeah,
Was it
Magellan.
Yeah,
Magellan or
the
something like
Magellan,
that?
yeah.
Yeah.
Magellan. Yeah,
Just a disembodied eye and mouth and nothing.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
he looks just like what was that program when we were younger, where they had to go through like the haunted house and they had a helmet on the head.
Oh, Labyrinth? No.
No,
No, never mind. It'll come to you.
like not Dungeon Master, but
Something like that.
Dungeon Quest? No.
no.
They made like a revival episode of it about 10 years ago.
They could do that so well with visual effects these days.
There was a guy with a beard,
Yeah.
wasn't it? It was really over like enthusiastic, or just
Yeah.
like really overacting. Like
Yeah.
Well, you can do it with AR now. You can have augmented reality where you overlay stuff on a real environment, not just VR. But yeah, it's very easy to do. At the time, it was so amazing, and you look back at it, it's like that's just an 80s computer. It's quite simple.
what's the in Dungeon in D&D? What's the name of the guy that controls everything?
Dungeon Master, DM.
It is Dungeon Master, is it? I wonder if it was Dungeon
Yes.
Master. It might
I've
be.
found the name of it. It's Nightmare. with a K.
Nightmare. Oh, well done.
Ah, yes.
I think he was the Dungeon Master, the guy with the beard, though. I think that
Yeah.
was his name. He was the
Yeah.
Dungeon Master in
In
Nightmare.
2013, there was a revival episode with reasonably up-to-date graphics. I think you can find it on YouTube if you're interested.
No, well, look
Anyway.
that up. I
Uh,
digress.
yeah, sorry. Nightmare.
Utterly
Oh,
hot. It's so hot.
so
My
we're still-
kids
we're just
were
still
asking for water,
digressing.
and
Yeah, sorry, I couldn't. That was the guy with the beard. But there was, as you say, there was like characters in it that were just like eyes and mouths, wasn't it? And
Yeah.
then-
Well, it
Yeah.
was a bit like D&D in that, yeah, you'd come into meetings with characters and that they would give you clues to move you on in some way.
It was pretty good. I used to like Nightmare.
Yeah, they should do that again. It's a good show.
It was amazing, really, because they had lives, and the lives were represented as this skull, and it started off as like a knight's face,
Oh, yeah.
and at first you like lost the skin, and then the flesh, and then like the eyeballs,
Quite
and then
gruesome,
the
really, now I
skull
look
would
back
get
on it.
cracked, and eventually the
awesome.
skull would blow apart, and then they'd be dead.
oh, that is awesome.
This
I
was-
like that.
This was on children's television at dinner time.
Yeah, I mean, it was a bit like Crystal Maze in the sense everyone was shouting at the screen. But
Yeah.
Yeah.
Bobby Silver like, what's Crystal Maze? That's the whole other thing.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Um,
Sorry, talking about very British TV programs from
Yeah,
a long
sorry.
time ago.
We
Crystal
digress.
Maze is amazing, but yeah, I don't know if I can explain it properly. It's,
Yeah.
you go
I've
into a
watched
room
a
and you
lot of
solve.
shows.
You go into a room and you
Sorry.
solve puzzles, and everyone else in the team shouts at you. It's like, no, put the red ball in the red hole. And it's like, yeah, that's not helping.
No. Yeah.
I remember watching a lot of stuff now when we have nostalgia night and stuff from the 80s, and I'm like, oh my God, we saw this as children, and I will never show this to my child. It is
Yeah.
astounding the stuff that we got to see. And now, but I had one friend who's like, you know what? If zombies ever show up, our generation will know what the hell to do.
Yeah.
You know, the one thing that
Point.
it's like the family films in the 80s, like National Lampoon's Vacation or something, just a random children's comedy, and then right in the middle of it, for no reason, there's a topless scene. Like, okay. They're like
Yeah.
family-friendly films, like, they don't do that anymore.
No.
It's like,
You know.
there was always just a random topless scene in all these films. All right.
Yeah, it's just that's the way
Breasts
it
make
was.
friends,
That's what it was.
families come
A
together.
film similar to something like, say, Home Alone. Where you go, okay, yeah, they're just so much showering. All right, that's nice.
Yeah. Ruth, have you played the Bridge Crew VR? I have got that. We have
But
got
say Monty Python has a very VR household. so
we
you
have got a number of VR users, including Evolve Index, and yes, I've played Bridge Crew, and it's very good actually. You're like you sat on the bridge, and yeah, managing your crew through missions. It's very fun.
Did it actually feel like you're there?
Yeah,
Did you get the vibe?
you get the vibes. The only thing I don't like about it is it's like the Calvin Universe bridge now from like the from the new films, so it's all very like white and red. I'd prefer it if it was like if I was sat on the TNG bridge like of the Enterprise D or something like that. But yeah, it's still good.
It was that great fan production Stage 9, and they recreated most of the Enterprise, and they didn't have it all done, but it had about 30% done. They had all the main areas, and forward,
Yeah.
the bridge, etc. Paramount just shut them down, or CBS just shut them down. Like, you think they go, okay, there's demand for this, let's make it ourselves. No, just stopped it. That was the end of it.
Yeah.
Shame.
I say all the images we use as our backdrops in these streams are all Stage 9, VR
Well,
images.
I'm sure in a few years, nowadays they have virtual sets that will get to the stage. The next version of Unreal Engine, they'll have a photorealistic, and they can just use it as sets, and they'll model out all these ships and things.
There is. Okay, I'm going to apologise now because I am going down a rabbit hole. But there is a project. There is a project to create virtual, almost photorealistic versions of every set and prop and from the Roddenberry era of Star Trek. I'm just going to see if I can.
By Roddenberry, do you mean TOS or TOS and TNG? Well, he was alive for a bit of DS9 as well, I think.
Yeah, it's everything up to Voyager.
Oh, nice. Okay.
Up to and including Voyager, because he was alive during that time, I think. Or no, it's either a Roddenberry version of Star Trek, which is original series in TNG, or a direct sequel, which is Deep Space Nine and Voyager. Enterprise is like a sequel of a sequel. So once they got out that far, they said, we're not interested in this, but for this Roddenberry Vault, I'm just trying to see if I can find a link to it. Bear with
It looks
me.
like Ruth has seen different bridges on Bridge Crew or whatever VR setup.
Oh,
she's
is there
got,
different
because
bridges?
She said the TOS one was fun, but you were just pressing colored buttons.
Yeah, I
that
didn't like. I
screens.
saw that one.
But the TNG bridge was great.
I haven't seen a TNG bridge.
I have
Give
to
you
say.
something to look for.
I'm gonna have to.
Yeah.
Have you
I
played
haven't
that?
been into VR until just now.
Wow.
X-Men game, whatever it's called.
Sorry,
Maybe
was
what?
that?
Supposed to be quite good. There's like an X game, like a Star Wars game where you fight it like as an X-wing or a TIE fighter. It's supposed to be very good if you play it in VR.
Yeah, it's on.
Extra downloadable content, apparently.
Yeah, it's on Toy. I don't know. This is a place where it hosts like 3D renders of things, but they've like this is like all 3D renders of like the cage sets, and this is like Star Trek the motion picture, or no, Star Trek 2 The Wrath of Khan. They rendered all sorts of things, locations and uniforms, and but I've had a look through some of it, and they've got like the Enterprise A, all the different bridges, and it's really fun to see all this stuff. But yeah, so there is this this project that's going to be a digital archive.
They kept making the films and then ripping down the bridge. We'll never need that again, and then have to build it for the next one. One time they kept it, they left it out in the rain, and it all got warped and bubbled.
Ah,
Even between Star Trek 3 and Star Trek 4, the bridge completely changes between films. On the Klingon Bird of Prey, just it's all white in the first one, and it's a completely different set in the second one. No explanation. Just do it.
apparently Ruth says that the server's gone now for the TNG bridge, so maybe you can't watch it anymore. But anyway, you can
That's
have a
why
look.
I've never seen it.
You could have a look.
If there were ever a way to trick us into a VR enslaved humanity existence, just turn on Star Trek and I would know it was a trap, and I'd be like, you know what, I'm cool with this. I'm okay.
Well, the metaverse that Facebook are still trying to push is potentially that might be a thing you put on your VR headset and you sit in the TNG, talk to your friends. That could be fun.
Yeah. Right.
Got me.
Let's get on with Act 3 then. So Deanna visits Picard in his ready room and tries to resign. Picard pushes back his non-existent hair and tells her that most counselors are human, so empathic abilities are not actually a requirement. He tries to point out how other senses will be increased to fill the gap, but she tells him he doesn't know what he's talking about. She declares herself disabled and no longer able to do her job.
I would have to say this was a scene, like from a military point of view, that pissed me the hell off. It's like, if you gotta go sit your ass down. And I was thinking Picard was like excellent in dealing with this, because I'm thinking, how would my commander had responded to me if I walked in his office with some shit like that? And woo! Picard was smooth. It's like he made that a win-win. Be like, look, he just turned it around. Just woof. I would have had my ass handed to me.
Yeah. Later, Riker visits her again, sensing she might be vulnerable, so open to some cuddles. She says she needs to be alone, but Riker's like, too bad, and holds her, and she cries.
This is where he could have laid one on her as well.
Yeah, I think that was his intent going there, to be honest. Deanna shows that she still has some empathic powers by asking Riker, is this how he solves all his staffing problems? And Riker admits that it's true. She says everyone, especially for Worf, she says everyone is hollow to her, even him. A protection-like character that you'd find on the holodeck. Riker's like, I get it now. You like it when you can sense what everyone's feeling, because you have an advantage, as you say, playing like computer game with cheat mode on. Now it's level playing field. You don't like it. He tells her that he's always found her Betazoid side a little too aristocratic, like the human half wasn't good enough. But she says that's not true. He leaves, saying he'll check in on her later, but she doesn't really want him to. On the bridge. Yeah, there you go. On the bridge, Geordie's ready to jump straight to Warp 6 to shock them free of the stuck mess they got themselves into. They give it a go, but it doesn't make any difference. Day reports during the attempt that he did notice a slight shift in the swarm's behaviour. Picard asks him to put through the universal translator and see if it's an attempt at communication. In 10 forward, Troy's on a bender. No, not really. She's not really. But question number 4, what is she drinking in 10 forward? Is it A, prune juice, B, tea, C, a latte, or D, Ractigino? What's Troi drinking in 10 forward? Is it prune juice, tea, latte, or Ractigino? A, B, C, or D?
Another complete guess, but I'm not going to guess C this time. I'm just going to guess the thing that sounds like it would be most likely for her in her current sort of place she's at. Oh, and other people are saying the same thing. That's good.
They're all agreeing with you. They're all agreeing with you.
That bodes well.
Guinan pops by and asks if she's getting used to it, not having her empathy, but she isn't. She asks Deanna if she wants to talk about it, and she doesn't. You need to oil your chair, Sean. You need to...
Sorry.
He's like,
apologies that I can squeaking.
yeah. She says, do you want to talk about it? She doesn't want to talk about it. And Guinan's like, oh, thank God. Everybody always wants to come here and talk about their problems.
I love Guinan.
She's
brilliant.
Yeah. She tells Deanna that she's thinking about applying for Deanna's own job because it's got a bigger office. But Deanna's like, it's not like running a bar. You have to get people to talk about things they don't want to talk about, which is funny because Guinan's there getting Troi to talk about things she doesn't want to talk about.
It's like every scene, I swear to God, every scene is her insulting everyone. It's like, oh God.
Yeah, Guinan's
the
like,
whole goddamn shit before this over.
She's like, oh really? Is that what it's about? Oh, that's interesting. But Troi doesn't think she's serious, and Guinan's like, oh, how do you know? Are you empathic again? But Troi admits that no, while she's not empathic, she just instinctively knows that she's not really interested. And then she understands what Guinan's getting at, Oh, I see. Yeah, you're trying to get me to say I've got instincts. Back on the bridge, Data's trying to ignore Riker's crotch. Just, the old Riker maneuver there. But fancy putting your your feet for international reasons, right next to where someone's trying to work. It's just not on, is it?
And I'd love, how you turn around to talk to him and then you're straight into his crotch like that. Yeah. As I was saying, Commander. Oh, yeah. Commander.
That is, have you noticed that they actually do that? When he turns around, he automatically turns his chin up.
Yeah, I'm not looking. I don't see it.
One of the weirdest things I've been thinking about, even mostly today, is like looking at Data's face and then wondering when he got that emotion chip. I was like, do humans and all these creatures now smell like he's in a bin of like livestock animals? Because before he had no emotion to the sense of smell, but now he's got crotches in his face. He's talking to people. They have breath. They've been drinking. They've been sweating. Now he's probably going, oh, you guys stink. Or looking at this guy here and be like, Riker, you got to put that leg down. I don't know if you've been through the biofilter last time you transported up, but he just, everybody, to me, everyone would just have like this extremely off-putting scent, even though everyone smells fine to everyone.
In the episode, the Distant Origin, I think it's called, where they find the future space dinosaurs from the past, and in Voyager, and they get on the Voyager ship. They're supposed to be dinosaurs that left Earth before humans evolved, and the first thing they mention, they get on the ship, that smell, to them, their sense of smell is so strong that humans just absolutely stink. I was like, yeah, you'll get used to it. So you'd imagine all the species on the Enterprise to be one with the smelling capacity of a dog, and everything would absolutely stink to them.
Yeah.
Like he's just walking around just smelling everything. You're like, oh, that guy had onions 2 days ago. That kind of thing.
Yeah.
And I'm sure it's not as bad, but like they say that submarines and stuff, closed environment,
Mm,
metal
Yeah.
ships do get a little bit whiffy. So although it wouldn't be as bad on the Enterprise, you'd imagine there's still got to be an element of that as opposed to somebody being on a planet.
I mean,
Yeah.
early in the episode, they did say get fresh air on the holodeck like you're in the Himalayas. So maybe they got some biofilters that just sucks everything in. And
I imagine they just make the air a little bit cooler and thinner on the holodeck just when they're doing that.
yeah,
Rather than the standard puffy, more standard air. But yeah, it could be like
It's
a
like
big
on
office,
those rides
air
at
conditioned
Disney,
stuffy office building. Yeah.
a bit of wind and a little bit of a squirty spray makes you feel like you're, sort of on the beach or whatever.
I did when I worked for the MOD. I did spend time out on ship on HMS Cumberland in the Atlantic on manoeuvres, and one of the times I was out there on the Cumberland, the septic tank ruptured on the lower decks and filled the bottom 2 floors of the ship in sewerage. And
Lovely.
everything stank. Like the whole ship just stank for the rest of the voyage. Just
God.
absolutely horrendous. Anyway,
Hey, what type of ship is the Cumberland?
Type 22 frigate.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Right. So everyone went above deck when they could.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah.
They weren't staying underneath. Like,
Well, actually, no. I mean, we're on NATO maneuvers, and they just carried on like nothing had happened.
oh yeah, I suppose it's not mission critical. You can't
No.
take them off.
No.
Live with it.
Yeah. It's now baked bean tins. That ship. So it doesn't exist anymore.
Oh, it's gone. Fair enough.
Along with most of, I think, all of the Type 22s, they're all gone now. Yeah. So Data on the bridge. His analysis discovers that 2-dimensional beings are heading towards a cosmic string fragment. The cosmic string being a proton width across, but the gravity of a black hole. They are heading to it like moths to a flame, and it's dragging the Enterprise along with it.
So this was the first episode, apparently, where they mention a structural integrity field, which is quite important, but this is apparently the first time it's referenced. And obviously cosmic strings were mentioned here. They were also mentioned again in Disaster, apparently, when Miles O'Brien was talking about it and the difference in between them and quantum filaments. But yeah, it is mentioned more than once.
And question number 4 then. What drink was she drinking? I'm seeing lots of bays.
Everybody said tea.
She was drinking prune juice. No, she was drinking tea. Yes.
Hey.
She was drinking tea.
So that's Tavi, Kaz, and Stuplum still on top points.
I didn't know, but yeah, the grape prune juice only ever saw Worf doing. Ractigina wasn't mentioned for DS9, and I forget what the other one was. But
Latte. No.
Latte. Yeah, I've never heard them drinking lattes.
No.
They didn't have lattes in the 90s. It just wasn't a thing.
Unless you're French or something, or Italian. If you're Italian, you've had lattes, but it wasn't something in the Western world as a whole.
Back then, coffee came in 2 types, the same as wine.
Black and white.
Coffee.
Yeah. So that was the end of Act 3. Onwards to Act 4. Now I'm quite pleased with this picture. In the beginning of this act here, we have a scene where we have this point of view shot of them looking at the string fragment through the viewer, and literally it goes from this camera shot here, snaps to a reverse side look back at the bridge, and it's the first time you really see the Hellman ops stations move because you look at it from this angle and you can fit a whole nother station in between these 2 stations. Like it's a good like 1.5 meter gap there, and it literally goes from this camera angle straight to this one where they're nearly touching. Like, it's quite jarring. Like usually you don't notice them moving those consoles about, but to fit them both in shot, they wanted a big screen shot, so they pulled them apart, and then they wanted them both in this shot, so they moved them back together. But it's quite stark.
Yeah, you have to remember 4-3 was a fairly unforgiving format. The old, suppose we call it narrow screen.
Yeah.
It doesn't lend itself to a big majestic bridge.
It just looks ridiculous when you see
Well,
him go.
even if you go to the
bing,
second
bing.
shot again, the way everyone's standing just to be in shot, George
Yeah.
is just just standing in such a way where they're all scrunched just to make sure it works.
Sometimes you see Worf like he's still operating the desk, but he's stood down at one corner of it here, just so he's still in the middle of the shot.
Yeah, even though
There's not even, I don't think, any L cars down that end of the.
he's got the one to his left or to our left is communications, and the center one is tactical, and then the one beside Georgie there is security. I think there's 3 separate consoles.
Security, yeah. I think there's
I remember right.
starts off 2 science, isn't it? Science 1 and 2.
Yes.
And
So, and then there's mission ops, isn't there?
yeah, some of that.
And engineering is last.
Engineering, yeah, because you see it's turned on now because Geordie's on the bridge.
Yeah. You would think that they would like just do a shot from like the point of view of Worf so that everyone's in the right place and they don't have to move anything? Or do you still think that would get in the way? I feel like they could have done that. You know what? It doesn't matter.
No.
Just move them out of the way.
Anyway, the Enterprise is being pulled to certain doom. Data can't tell if the 2D beings are even aware of the danger. Worf suggests shooting them with photon torpedoes. It's a very Worf suggestion. But Geordi suggests maybe exploding the torpedoes in their path rather than hitting them directly may make them change direction. So Picard goes with that option instead. We got a lovely effect of torpedoes blowing up. Ironically, I believe this is a recreation for the Blu-ray. It looks just like the old one. I think the string looks slightly more 3D now in the Blu-ray, but it still looks equally not that great. Anyway, the torpedoes don't do anything, so Picard says, well, fire at the beings themselves, and maybe that'll help. But shooting torpedoes at them doesn't do anything either, sadly.
Seems like some unlikely choices to have been made there.
I know. He's like, well, they're probably alive. Well, we'll just try
Let's
blowing
just
them
fire
up.
at them. I mean, that's not a very Picardy maneuver.
It's not, is it? No.
No, they're saying that they don't understand how like 2-dimensional space works, and I'm like, yes, we do. We know how wide axes kind of work. We know we have simulations. So it was very strange when they said they had no way of dealing with that.
But it's easier to understand 2-dimensional than it would be 4 or 5-dimensional. When you go up dimensions, and we can understand dimensions lower than us, we can't understand them above us to a certain extent. So yeah, that doesn't quite make sense.
And although they're saying like they can't be seen side on, like the Enterprise has got lots of different floors, right? How can every single one be exactly side on and not be able to be seen from anywhere or any angle?
I don't know.
Yeah, they could launch a probe or something just above it if they really needed to.
Yeah, which I think isn't that what they did eventually? But yeah, it still seems unlikely that you wouldn't have been able to see any of them at all from anywhere. But anyway.
Meanwhile, Troy's packing her things in her office, ready for Guinan to take over. When Brooke arrives for her next appointment, she's forgotten Brooke as a patient, right? She's moved on. She's planning her next career.
Mentally checked out.
Yeah. Brooke
Apparently, an Outlook calendar doesn't exist in the 24th century. They've lost
No.
technology.
No.
You don't get a little email reminder. Meeting in 5 minutes.
No. Brooks tells her that she's right about her. Even without her empathic powers, she realized she was still hiding from her pain. But question number 5. In this scene, Troy's packing pads into a little case. But how many pads does she fit into the case?
God.
Now, this might be contentious because I had to try to work it out from pausing and getting the, but I think I'm right. But if I'm not, don't shoot me. Don't go blaming the quizmaster. Anyway, is it A, 3, B, 4, C, 5, or D, 6? Is it 3, 4,
Think
5,
yes.
or 6? How many pads does she fit into the little suitcase?
Although the idea that you would need multiple pads is a bit silly when you think about the storage capacity on a modern phone can basically cover like the whole text version of Wikipedia, no problem.
Yeah,
Like, you know,
you can put a whole library.
Like, in text form, like all the humanities knowledge can be stored on a modern phone.
I
But
mean,
no,
your
you have
pad
to have
would just be
multiple
a
pads.
tablet that connects to other data sources, surely.
Yeah, well, I mean, yeah, well, they have basically Wi-Fi, if you want to call it that. But,
Yeah.
So why do you need multiple tabs? And they have
Yeah, that
three
would-
huge computer cores the size of, small buildings in the enterprise. So there's more than enough storage on board as well. Just seems a bit odd.
She heads back to the ready room. Picard wants help communicating with the 2Ds. That's what I call them from now on, those things, the 2Ds. She says that she doesn't know how she can possibly help. Picard wants to understand their psychology. And she's the most qualified person on the ship. So she's going to help whether she likes it or not. He tells her to report to Data in the observation lounge. And that's the end of scene 4.
Yeah, and again, that's quite a good scene. There's an element of, he obviously doesn't say it, but there's an element of, look, you've got to kind of get over yourself for a second because there's a bigger picture here and, we're in danger, so snap to. But it's quite assertively done by the JLP.
You're doing it.
Yeah.
I would have
Are
been.
you still there, Kaz? Look at that dome, Kaz. Look at that shiny dome.
Mm-hmm.
Do you love
Bullet
it?
shape.
It's a beautiful thing. It's a beautiful shape.
I actually think you can see the stage light in the back of his head. Because you can see a square light.
Oh, here?
Yeah. So but I wouldn't exactly call it continuity error, but if you know it's there, it's a bit obvious. That's a grip light.
I like it.
Can you imagine, like, he has to polish his boots and you're in your uniform's looking spick and he has to stop and give a polish to the dome.
Well, like, I mean, you
Puts
get
wax on it.
You
buffs it out.
Powder, don't you? Just to take the shine off your face. You don't just be.
Maybe that's what I should do.
There.
Maybe I should put some powder on my head to stop the shine.
I think the shine is awesome. Leave the shine. It's like shiny shoes.
I can imagine sunny weather. That could be a real problem. If you get a burn right there, I'd say it's very uncomfortable.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, I've got to make sure I got to put the old sun cream on my head. Come on, Karen, get your answer in. Well, she's not made it.
Karen, wake up.
Was there anything else with Act 4, Hansmibble?
Apparently, so when Troi was in 10 Forward, she was talking to Guinan, right? Not Riker, or is the scene with Riker a bit later? I think that might be later, actually.
In 10 Forward, she was talking to Guinan this time.
Yeah. Okay. So Marina Sirtis was saying that a lot of fans who had disabilities warmly reacted to this episode at the depiction of the frustration and alienation and stuff like that, which, I think is really great. Some of the directors like Michael Piller and co, they were sort of suggesting that the script was adequate, but it didn't really land very well, as we mentioned earlier. I think Chip Chalmers said he was really fond of this episode because of the character conflict, like the scenes where Deanna's sort of telling Crusher what for. I mean, TNG in essence, I think, is quite idealistic in many ways in terms of how it depicts people in the human race and general ethics and motivation. So it's kind of nice for a bit of a change of pace to see what happens when, things don't go wrong and people aren't acting so righteous. So, it's a good contrast.
Yeah.
I like that one about this one as well.
Ultimately, so, they're always hit and miss. Sometimes you get great ones, but ultimately you're going to get whatever 10 of these a season just to stretch out the budget. That's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
It's.
I would have to say, given that this. Go ahead.
I was just going to say, I'm curious when they build the set for the for her therapy room when because obviously it leads out onto the corridor. So I don't know, is it in the same space as the quarters usually are? Because they build it inside the set that's already there. How do they do it?
I'm not, I'm not sure. I'm not sure if it is really connected to corridor, because what they do is they have a piece of corridor wall that for some of these for some of these like lesser used sets, they just put the corridor wall backing on the other side, so it looks like it leads out into a corridor, but doesn't
the
actually.
shot where she's standing in the doorway and it looks down the hall a good bit. So
It might be. Yeah,
you
it
can see.
might be.
So it looks like I know there's a section they use behind a wall just to make it look like a room that's going out onto a corridor. I know exactly what you're talking about, but I think it's just 3 sections. Whereas this, like, it was literally curved around, so it looked like it was near the end of the set. So I think what they did was, I think it is the quarters, and they just they built it within the quarters, or they took the quarters away somehow. I'm not 100% sure.
Yeah, I see what you mean. Yeah, it could be that they just subdivide the quarters up. Yeah.
On Troy's left there is where the bathroom should be, but they just put a blank wall in front of it, for example.
Yeah.
I think that's what they did, but I don't know.
No. So here we see for the answer for the last question. This isn't a particularly good image of it, but you just have to believe me on this one. We've got 3 pads in the briefcase thing already, and we have 2 in her hand, which she then lays down on top of these 3 that are here, which makes 5. It's 5 pads in total.
Which is C?
C.
Ooh,
yes,
interesting.
Dang it, I was pretty sure it was 6. 6. I should have gone with
Sean now catapults into the lead, joint with Ruth, with 280 points.
Ooh.
And now we've got Tavona, Kaz, and Stuplum all in second place behind Sean and Ruth. Sean and Ruth just overtook you 3, and you 3 just all got the same one. It's like you're moving in packs. We got 2 herds competing here.
It's going to be all down to the last question, isn't it? It's all going to be down to the last question. So how it should be, how it should be.
See if you can break the tie between Sean and Ruth.
Yeah. Okay, so we're on to the final act, Act 5. In the observation lounge, which is odd, actually. If you're going to do some like analysis for a dire situation like this, why would you use the observation lounge? Seems a bit odd. Usually they use like, I don't know, science lab or I don't know.
Well, I suppose it's off the bridge, so you can come straight back on. But yeah, it does make more sense to have even in Enterprise they had what was called a situation room, which is kind of similar to a CAG. It was more like almost like a battle bridge. It's like all the information is in here. It's secured. It's central.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think it was just more a matter of convenience. You can do it. Technically speaking, you can do it from any room in the building, in the ship. It doesn't really matter because computers are networked. So it's just the fact that they can be back on the bridge in 2 seconds if they need to.
Good point, Sean. So they're in the observation lounge. Troy's trying to help, but she doesn't know what she can do. She doesn't know how to use her human intuition, and Data doesn't have any human intuition in the first place. So they're a little bit stuck.
Yeah, and he's not bitching how he can't do his job.
Yeah, you don't hear him moaning about not having all these things. Well, not often anyway. She feels like...
Just tell everyone he's an android every moment he gets.
Yeah.
I'm an android.
I don't have any feelings. I don't care. She feels like the 2Ds are out there. They're out in the universe, but hardly a part of it, just like herself. She then gets a thought, though, that maybe they are acting on instinct, like the moth to the flame analogy. She says that they were thinking in 3 dimensions with their photon torpedoes and subspace signals. They need to think in 2D. She postulates that gravity doesn't affect them, that they are just heading that way by instinct. Duh.
Well, technically speaking, we think in 4 dimensions, not 3, because time is as well. So you have to factor that in.
So I guess they're 3-dimensional then, because they're proceeding on a route over time. So they must have time as a dimension as well. So they're 3-dimensional, just their 3rd dimension's time. I guess.
Yeah, exactly. But we are in fact living in the fourth dimension.
My God, these Enterprise people don't know anything.
Yeah. Hopefully they'll fire
One's in a
under.
science officer suit.
They
Maybe they say we're not really four-dimensional because we can't move. We can't manipulate the fourth. Yeah, we're only three-dimensional. We can't move back and forth in time like a road. Like you can move back and forth on the Y, X, and Z axis. We can go up and down, left and right, side to side, but we can't go back and we can't traverse the fourth dimension.
Actually,
Or
technically,
only
you
in one
can.
direction.
You can.
Although some people, physicists will argue about this, and I'm not a physicist, but they do sometimes refer to space-time, so space and time kind of being the same thing, because you can't be in a place without being there at a time, and you can't be at a time without being at a place. To say I'll meet you outside the shop. Your next question is going to be when. You can't. It can't be some. Yeah, you have to be specific about that. So some of them consider it the same thing, others don't.
Thing is, time is relative to
it's not
things in
constant,
constant motion. So as we're all in constant motion on this planet, if I suddenly ran to Mazza McBob down the road, time would actually move slower to me, because the more you move and travel in speed, the slower time goes for that person, for that object.
Space is relative too, because things move independently of yourself wanting to move. Planets orbit around the sun orbits around the galaxy orbits around other galaxies. So when you judge coordinates, you do them relative to something else that's moving and relative to something else. So it's not as static as we like to think it is.
It's like if you could get up to 99% of the speed of light and travel out 4 light years away to like a nearby star, and then travel 4 light years back to Earth. By the time you've got back to Earth, you've been gone 8 years. But on Earth, 54 years have passed.
But an Earth will also have moved. It won't be where you left it, because it's doing a circle in the galaxy.
Yeah. If you go to wherever it is.
The future where they go through time and it lands exactly in the same spot.
Oh yeah.
The Earth.
Yeah.
If the Earth is in a different place in its orbit, you're just landing.
You'd be floating in space.
There's no air there, you're there.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah.
But like even when it's lined up on the train tracks, it stays on the train tracks perfectly, even 100 years later. It's just like, that wouldn't work.
No, it'd be
makes for a good film, but it technically doesn't work.
No. Anyway, so they present their findings to Picard on the bridge. Data there looks particularly pleased with himself. Yeah, do you like it? It's a good idea. Yeah, do you like it? They want to try to project an image of the string fragment in an opposite direction to the actual one to make the 2Ds turn around. At the point they change direction, they might be able to escape. Picard's like, how do you simulate a cosmic string? Data's like, you get a fuck off great big projector. No. Data says they won't simulate the gravity, just the vibrations. Riker correctly points out that it's not a violin. So
it's not a violin, guys.
Yeah.
I mean, it seemed like a really odd and obvious statement.
It's like,
all right, are you wearing red or yellow?
It would have been a great time to go. It's a life form, not a violin. Kind of to ape that old I'm a doctor or something. Fine, but they was a missed opportunity.
No.
How did they not all just look at Riker and go, "Doi"?
Get back in your box.
Yeah, and just say, you don't say.
Yeah, no. Geordi gives
or the more famous, "Oh shit, Sherlock."
Yeah.
Yes, that's exactly what just flashed through my mind.
Geordi gives the proper reasoning in a splurge of techno babble. Cosmic strings emanate vibrations in subspace frequencies from atomic particles decaying along the event horizon. They can use the parabolic dish to reflect those frequencies back to the cluster. Thank you, Geordi. See, that's what it is, Riker. But question number 6. Picard asks Worf, how much time do they have to do all this? And Worf replies, they have A, 20 minutes, B, 21 minutes, C, 22 minutes, or D, 23 minutes. 20, 21, 22, or 23 minutes before they meet their doom. No, they get several other updates later on, but this is the first.
Although the people in second place, if they're being tactical, will answer a different answer than the one I gave.
Oh,
But because if they answer the same, they can't win whether I'm right or wrong. But if they answer differently,
That's
they're gonna
true. Good point.
good point. Good point.
and I've given the game away.
Well, between you and Ruth, there's a split choice. So, as the two front runners, hopefully that will have divided the pack somehow.
Yeah.
All right, hopefully clear you. Let's see.
We get a very close-up shot, or several close-up shots of the main deflector array.
That's a lovely shot.
It's a lovely shot,
Yeah,
but I do
that was
feel
nicely shot.
you do see like some like jankiness around the edge of the dish here that does make it look a little bit like a model.
But I like the torpedo tube. Other than that one episode where they fired a laser at him, or a phaser at him for no reason.
that would have been wrong.
It's very clear it is a torpedo tube. Although the scale looks a little bit big for what it should be. It's basically the size of a deck.
It is. It's massive.
You know, it seems. Although I suppose if they have torpedoes, 100 torpedoes back in a line, I suppose it's just about enough space to walk through it.
I'm imagining in here they've got an array of torpedo tubes. Although it looks like one from the outside here, I imagine just slightly inside where it's like maybe 4 or something, you know?
Because torpedo, because
sometimes they go like that, don't they?
You fit 6 or 8 torpedoes in that space. It's a little bit too big. But I suppose again, on a model, how small can you make it? You know, the feature has to be seen in long shots, so it has to be a certain size. So that's part of the difficulty of model making, I guess.
I just think because this is the 4-foot model, I think they should have used this 6-foot model for this shot, because the 6-foot model of the deflector array is a little more sophisticated and a little bit tidier.
Yeah, they're not making any new.
No, I know they don't.
The 6-foot model. So if they didn't have this shot already, they would have had to create it, wouldn't they?
Yeah,
I like the color. They're a bit more muted. It was a bit too orangey red in the earlier seasons.
Yeah. Also, interestingly, most of the shots of the Enterprise in this episode are all new for this episode with the 4-foot model. So all the shots of it going sideways and things and getting away.
If that's not remastered, if that's the original model, I have to say that's one hell of a shot. The lighting and everything, it's really good.
Yeah.
Yes,
Really
it's an original shot of the 4-foot model for this episode. Yeah, it's pretty good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's very impressive. You think it's before the era of LEDs, so when they put lights in it, they had to be big lights, and they there was cables for them, and they had to have used to heat up the models, so you couldn't turn them on for 2 or 3 minutes because the whole thing would just melt if you left them on.
Wow.
Yeah, they had put shielding around it and stuff. You
get a really strong light out of some windows and then none out of the other. Sometimes they use fiber optics to get around that problem, but before LEDs, it was a real mess.
Yeah.
So some of the Star Wars models, they have all these little fiber optic cables, and they could have 10,000 of them in one of those destroyers. Someone has to literally glue them all in, all up and down the model on the inside, with, little pliers, just to get all lights.
Wow.
I've got one of them up on top. You can't see it, but up on top of my cupboard shelves up there, I've got a Star Destroyer model to do, and I've got the fiber optic kit for it. So
I'm assuming it's a little bit less sophisticated than the filming models, but I imagine it's an awful fiddly job.
It's a real fiddly. That's why it's been up there for like 3 years now. I'm done anything with it because I read the instructions and was like, "Oh my god, it's going to take me like 3 years."
I've got quite fat hands, so I'm not that fine motor detail wouldn't be my skill set.
No,
you need a child's hand for something like that. It's just it's too messy.
For all of us people, I'm trying to figure out where everyone is getting all the ship stuff, because I'm into the ships, like how tall are their ceilings, how wide was their corridor, and I'm watching Trek Yards.
Yeah.
Trek Yards.
Okay.
Yeah, Trek Yards.
Okay, so I'm in the right spot for everyone then. I'm watching Trek Yards a lot.
There's a channel called Trek Yards, if you don't know it, and they do breakdowns of ships, and they'll have a half an hour conversation about the makeup of the nacelles, or how many decks it is, or how can this fit into the space frame, and what scale is it? And they can spend 2 hours talking about a ship, not about the episode, just the ship. So if you really want to get that nerdy detail, There's also a channel, I forget the name of it, but if you just look at Star Trek ships breakdown, and they actually go deck by deck and show how the whole building is of those at.
Yeah.
Lovely.
Pretty cool.
Yes,
I love that,
there's dolphins somewhere on the Enterprise D. They've got the
and,
aquatic decks.
And Junk Ball. If you like a bit of humor, Junk Ball is very good.
He hasn't made a video for bloody ages.
Yeah, he does these very, very funny reviews of ships, and he goes through all their things, but he does it in a very humorous way.
He's very funny. He's very funny.
I can't really describe it, but it's very funny, and it's not very technical. But he does throw in a couple of facts you wouldn't know. So, yeah, highly recommend.
Oh, that's awesome.
And I love the music.
To...
I always think, I like the Junk Ball intro thing.
Yeah, he has a couple of running memes like rocks, you know.
Rocks.
Every ship has rocks. Yeah.
Rocks. Whenever the explosion, the rocks fly everywhere. It's rocks.
Yeah. Like every other ship of the Federation, this one comes equipped with rocks as standard.
Yeah, you got to have some rocks hidden somewhere on the bridge for when you get hit. Okay, so Geordie isolates the frequencies and they project it out through the dish, and he goes wop 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 wop. It does work at first, but it doesn't work at first. But then Picard decides to turn the dish up to 11, and that slows the 2Ds down, and the Enterprise is able to make its escape. Woohoo! The 2Ds continue on to the string, and Deanna suddenly feels faint. But it's all right. She's getting her empathic abilities back. Yay!
Yay!
Yay! Look how happy she looks. Look. She
She's
looks
so
so
happy.
happy.
Be like, now you're gonna do your job now without bitching.
Yeah, you're going to do your job.
There are people here that have like lost arms and whatnot, and he's like, "You put on a really bad show for Team Lady."
Yeah.
I mean, like I say, it is, I get if anybody woke up and lost their sight, they'd be pretty gutted, but almost like, and maybe that's the point, is they're trying to make it realistic, but you'd almost expect something like Star Trek, with all these characters on it to behave in a way that's slightly more uplifting or inspirational, or not just get really angry, throw their toys at the pram and start insulting everyone. But yeah. I mean, I guess it's realistic, but not really that fun to watch.
No, I guess we see why she doesn't wear a Starfleet uniform now.
No one takes you seriously, honey.
She ain't got that Starfleet heart, right?
No.
I've watched some of her. I've not been to a con before, but I've watched some of her videos. Or some of the videos were talking at cons. So two of the things she said was, when they first started making this, contact lenses were really expensive, and they got normal contact lenses and they just painted them black.
Ooh.
And then gave them to her, and they were causing all sorts of irritation with her eyes. They were being that cheap about it. And she said originally they had her as what she called the space cheerleader outfit. She had a skirt that was, like I mean, a bikini would show less, and they had all of that kind of stuff. And eventually they got her into these jumpsuits. But it was only when Jellicoe came on for one episode, and just it suited the plot to have her in uniform, and everyone thought, that looks great. We should have her in uniform.
Chain of command. Yeah.
Yeah. And they have to keep. And then she was like, "I've been screaming at you for 3 years. I want you to be in a uniform. I didn't want these jumpsuits."
Yeah.
But I think after that episode, they never put her back in the jumpsuit.
No, she looks a lot better in a uniform. Looks good.
Yeah,
it does look good.
But and I also think the HD remaster doesn't do that uniform any justice. It does look like a bad cosplayer.
It does. You can see like it's not sewn very well. It's
growing up, and it's not good. Even in the previous shot, there was a bit of a, I suppose, there's only one way to describe it: a camel toe incident, which is going into the ready.
A little bit. I didn't notice. I wasn't looking. Smiling Rainbow.
Yeah, well, unfortunately,
I wasn't looking.
More of a gentleman than I am, because I couldn't see anything else. So it's just like, they went with that shot. Okay, fair enough.
She tells them that the 2Ds are home. The cosmic string is where they live, so they're all happy and they live happily ever after. They haven't been crushed in a horrible, crushing death.
The second she said something like that, I was like, oh my God, are you serious? Maybe you guys can enter and go out of black holes if you're actually two-dimensional. For us, we're thinking we're going to be obliterated. But when they're like cosmic streams and dealing with like event horizons, they're like, maybe we need to do it in 2D.
Do it in 2D. Later in 10 Forward, she tells Riker, Beverly, and Guinan that she's got so much emotion from the 2Ds that it must have short-circuited her abilities. She apologizes to Beverly for being a dick. Bev tells her therapists and doctors are the worst patients. She thanks Guinan for her help and tells her the counselor position is now taken. She thanks Riker. Sorry, Sean?
Oh, sorry, I was just going to say, if you woke up and you found your leg was gone, you're probably going to be a dick about it for a few days. It's just the way it goes.
Yeah.
People wouldn't take it personally. So.
No. She thanks Riker and he says, you're welcome. Oh, welcome to the human race. He goes in for a smooch, but she pulls away, criticizing him for calling her aristocratic. So.
She had it coming.
She is aristocratic.
Yeah.
Her mother has all these...
Have you met her mum?
Yeah.
The holder of the chalice of Rix?
Of Rix, yeah. The Holy Rings of Beta Z.
The Holy Rings of Beta Z.
She's the daughter of a duchess, basically.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that was the end of the episode.
It's true.
She's like, you're not... It's like, oh, honey, you're not one of the lowly folks here. Please stop trying to be with it.
Yeah.
You get to walk around not in uniform. Okay? You think they let everybody do that?
Yeah, no, she's kind of like in her own sort of special league.
Yeah, like imagine having, well, like, I mean, sorry, well, too many thoughts in my head at once. Like, do you know, like, when World War I or II started, I forget which one, but women started cutting their hair short and started wearing pants. Or if they didn't wear shirts, they were tighter because they started working in factories and hair could get caught in machinery and things like that. And the whole fashion of women changed more towards men because it had to be more practical. Because, you know, if you're working in a factory, you can't have long hair that gets caught in the machine. And I'm just thinking about, a ship being run and all the practicality of a ship being run, and then having a big flowy dress like that can get caught up in anything. It just like you wouldn't get, even as a civilian, you wouldn't get on a military ship just like that. Like, no, there's machinery here. Wear something else.
I think the whole argument at the time was it was supposed to make her, more approachable and stuff, by sort of giving her a softer edge. But yeah, I mean, if you're a serving person with rank, then you should be in uniform, right?
Yeah.
You would think so, yeah.
Or at least be at ease and say, like, when you're coming into counseling, you're wearing civilian attire. Not walk around the whole damn ship.
Was there anything left of Act 5?
There's a couple points, but there's also the final question. But yeah, the only 2 points that I was going to make was that basically they make Troi go through all of the, the sort of the grief or change cycle. So she's got denial where she's going, oh, I'm fine, I'll just go straight back to work. Then she obviously gets really angry at Riker, saying she doesn't want everybody to feel sorry for her. She kind of it's not exactly bargaining, but where she's saying, oh, I could have been okay if I had been in charge, I wouldn't have, sort of, playing that blame game, but almost, things could have been different style of thing. And then she breaks down and finally accepts things and kind of comes to terms with it, and the fact that she might still be able to function with the added confidence given from her solving the problem of the 2Ds. But it's just cool how they make her go through that cycle. I mean, that's deliberate, right? But it's they sort of crammed it all in there, which I thought was quite cool.
And it's set up with the whole ensign, whatever it was at the beginning, grieving for her husband.
Yeah.
And she's basically
foreshadowing.
It was foreshadowing the whole grief.
Deanna was going to go through a grief cycle. Yeah, exactly that. And the other thing is that there's an implication here that because she is an empath and because she has basically adjusted to rely on her empathic skills, that means that without her empathic skills, she by default becomes quite severely autistic. So like she can't pick up on cues of other people or understand how other people's emotions are, or, you know, understand any of that nonverbal stuff, because she's become so reliant on needing to sense people's feelings. So I just thought that was like, I mean, I'm sure that wasn't actually meant by the writing, but it's just interesting that that's a kind of an unconscious implication from the storyline.
I don't know if you saw the latest episode of The Orville, but there's a kind of a similar thing happens with Isaac. This doesn't ruin the episode, but basically he gets emotions for a few minutes and then they go away, and he goes from being able to express all the feelings he didn't know how to say them, then to just being back to being a robot.
Don't say any more, Sean. Don't say any more.
Ah, that's cute.
I haven't seen that one yet.
All right, sorry. Okay, no, that's literally as much as I'm going to say. Yeah, it's kind of tragic.
Oh.
Looking
Like Isaac could go through any more tragedy.
Yeah,
Poor
bless
Isaac.
him. He's already been driven to suicide. Oh, sorry.
No,
sure.
Sure.
There's more stuff in the episode, and it does explore him, but it's a very good episode.
Each episode's like a movie now, isn't it?
But this week's episode, which is out tomorrow, is an hour and 26 minutes long.
Yeah, they're like movies.
In America, you know, in your region, however you might see it.
I don't know how you're doing it with magic, Sean. It's magic.
Yeah.
Those
pirates out in Bazan, something to know about as usual.
Yeah. Sailing the high seas. Okay, so question 6. Picard asks Worf how much time do they have, and Worf replies, was it 20, 21, 22, or 23? How many Ds, 23, do we get?
We have 4 Ds and 2 Cs.
Well, I'm sorry, Cs. It wasn't 22, it was 23 minutes.
So that puts Tavikins on 320 points, Kaz on 320 points, Stu Plum on 320 points, Sean on 280 points, Ruth on 400 points, and Maz on 140 points. I did rubbish this week. So Ruth, by getting D on the last one and Sean going for C, Ruth has pipped it and got the point for this week. Well done, Ruth.
Well done, Ruth.
Ruth gets the gold.
Woohoo! I'm gonna just have to put your score on. Bear with me a second. And
just while you're doing that, I'll tell you another story about how cheap Star Trek is.
Yes.
Delta Flyers podcast, if you're not listening, do. Robert Duncan McNeil and Garrett Wong do reviews of all the episodes of Voyager. But he tells the story. Garrett tells the story once. He gets his new shoes for Voyager, new pilot. You know, a couple of million for the new pilot. And he gets the shoes. He goes, these are a bit loose, and he goes in to inspect them, and there's a tag on the inside of it that says Brent. So they reused his shoes. They wouldn't even give him new shoes, like relatively cheap. And he actually went to the shop and bought black shoes that roughly match what they were supposed to look like, and handed in the receipt to replace them. But they actually gave him secondhand shoes that have been worn for a couple of years by Brent's Finer rather than giving him ones.
Wow.
It was cheap, and then there's like
what? I would have gone, oh damn, these are
I've got Brent's shoes. Getting that in the lungs.
Oh, yeah, giving him a good sniff.
Oh my God, I think I would have had champagne out of that thing.
Well, they passed off secondhand shoes to a new principal in the new show.
Wow. I mean, they cost about $2 million an episode. You'd think they could, with the $2 million, at least afford a new pair of shoes.
Yeah, okay, let's say they're expensive shoes. Let's say they're $200. But I think nowadays, not Voyager, Discovery is about $5 million an episode.
Was it? Yeah.
And it takes them, and there's about 23 days of shooting to make one episode, which is great. Like you can do a film in 23 days. You know, that's a hell of a lot of shooting. They're so particular about it.
I would have said they should have just saved their money.
Yeah, and spend it on the writing. Yeah.
They could have. I'm like, y'all are spending a lot of time, and I'm
not
just not seeing
Pride
it.
this week. How about that? Let's have Klingons look like Klingons. How about that?
No,
Yeah.
let's make them weird blue things. That's I don't get it.
I was when I first saw that, I thought that I was completely clueless, and they kept saying the Klingons, and for the entire like first season, I'm like,
You're like,
when are the
where?
Klingons
Where?
coming? When are the Klingons? I was completely clueless. I'm like, did I jump in this at the wrong episode?
That totally
My
reminds me of
husband was like,
Yeah, those are Klingons.
Totally reminds me of Trials and Tribulations, though, where the woman at the bar, because they go back in time, and she's like, "Oh, you're the second person who's asked for Rector Gino," and she talks about all the Klingons, and they're like, "Klingons, where are they? Over there and over there." And of course, they don't have their ridges.
Yeah.
And then they say to Worf, you know,
And
what happened?
there was a
It's
very, very
genetic
good
aberration.
retcon that explained that, and it was fantastic. You know that they did
Yeah.
in Enterprise. I
They
forget
did.
the name of the episode, but they
Yes.
they tied it up with the eugenics, and it's fantastic how
Mhm.
they did it. And it's all explained away why they look different, because in the years, even as the ridges got more pronounced between the films and TNG, it makes sense canonically. And then they just went, no, we'll do this other. Even the Kelvin ones look a little bit different, but they were still roughly the same, 80% the same, 85, 90. And then they went, no, let's just do this giant heads. No.
Weird.
Weird.
Very weird.
And all they stuttered talking. They used to speak in normal English sentences, and then they start going, duck, and
oh my God.
Burnham's like, we have this new invention, the universal translator. Forget the fact that they had an Enterprise that was 80 years ago. You know, it's a brand new invention, and you've never seen it before. Even though humans and Klingons have been meeting for 100 years, and we've always used it. But here's our brand new invention.
Yeah.
Like, first episode, they made up the blunt. Like, seriously.
Right.
Sorry,
So
rant over.
Normally Montalban ranting in that
I'm
way.
with you, Sean. I could be doing this for like an hour.
I stick with it, but like Discovery, like I even forget like when I see it, like what's happened in the last episode. I'm just so uninterested. I watch it just to watch it.
Well,
I could. If you guys have seen the channel Nitpicking Nerd, not plural, but Nitpicking Nerd,
yeah.
he has some hilarious breakdowns, because I couldn't watch season 2 of Picard. I just couldn't do it. After the 3rd episode, I was almost like in physical pain, and I'm like, ah!
It was all right, but they filmed season 3 already, and they made some corrections. But it's like, let's do all these stupid things, and then the people in the know say don't do that, and they go, what do the fans know? And then the fans scream at them, and then they try and make a correction that takes several years. Like, Discovery has had a soft reboot twice now, and it's still not right. It's just, Picard it's okay, you know. It's a lot. It's a bit like Lower Decks. There's lots of references for the old fans just to keep us feeling like we're part of it.
Yeah.
It still just
Like,
doesn't
they're
feel
bringing
like
back
Star
the
Trek,
TNG
does it?
show.
That's the problem. It just
I
doesn't
just
feel like
stopped,
Star Trek.
when it comes to Discovery, I just stop with Discovery. I can't. do it.
There's one episode in Picard. That's the first episode of season 2, and I thought, oh, they've actually listened, and it felt more like Star Trek. You had the Stargazer there, and they went and faced off the Borg that came through the rift. And I thought, oh, this actually is feeling a bit more like Star Trek. All the ships
they-
were
they're very-
different. There was the Excelsior there.
I was gonna say, they very deliberately avoided the copy and paste fleet, and they put in Excelsiors or Excelsior equivalents, and they put in Constellation equivalents.
That was just so shockingly lazy. It was just absolutely awful.
They didn't have 10 episodes worth of material, so there was about 7 episodes worth of material, and they stretched it over 10 episodes. So it got a long time. Even over 10 episodes, it was a bit stretched out. So,
In the first season, we were supposed to be shocked when the bad guys ejected all the Borg into space. But they didn't realise, and 7 and 9 forgot, the Borg don't need to breathe and can exist quite happily in space, because they were walking around on the hull of the Enterprise in First Contact. So
they were also
surely 7 of 9, who was in control of the Borg as a sort of surrogate Borg queen at the time, could have just reopened the doors up on the Borg cube and just gobbled them all back up again. And then gone, right, you bastards, I'm coming for you now.
The gravimetric field or something, so that they were all attracted by gravity back to the cube.
Because they were all fine floating around in space.
Yeah. But they were also deactivating and they were sitting there for 10 or 15 years in their alcoves, perfectly still, not being fed, not being watered. Literally just a little bit of backup power going into them, keeping them ticking over. You know, they turned one on when they wanted to deborg them. but like they were actually just sitting in the alcove. So yeah, they were still fully Borg. As I said, they weren't exports. The rest of them, they had all their bits and pieces. Of them, so
Yeah.
yeah, it didn't make sense.
None of it made any sense. And eventually they killed the space flowers, and I don't know what the hell that was all about.
People in chat, by the way, get your marks out of 10 in.
Oh yes, marks out of 10.
Reminder.
The Lost, that's what we're talking about. What did you think of this episode? Let us know in chat. Marks out of 10. Put it in, and we will add yours up from live chat. And yeah, I'm going to go with that. Okay, so I don't know if Stu Plum, Karen, if you're still around, and we didn't bore you to death with our
Sean gives it
Picard
a
chat.
4.
Sean, well done. 4 for you. Tabikins,
It's such an unremarkable episode. There's nothing special about it.
No.
You know, it's so forgettable. I even rewatched it earlier, and I nearly forgot what it was about at the end of it. It's nothing.
six by Stu Plum.
Brutal.
Funny.
I mean, there's great bottle episodes like Measure of a Man. This isn't one of them.
No.
Or The Drumhead, another fantastic one. Again, this isn't one of them.
That's coming up, I think.
That's fantastic.
A lot of people cite that as in their like sort of top 10 or top 3 or top 5 episodes. Drumhead.
Yeah, probably one of the cheapest shows they got to make. It's just a good sci-fi concept. Well, a good general concept.
It's what you get when you put good writers and good actors together.
Yeah.
Which is what News Trek's just sorely missing is good writers.
Yeah. Occasionally, too much budget causes a problem, like the motion picture. You know, they had all the money in the world to make it, and it turned out awful. You know, sometimes people are more inventive with less money, and they get more creative.
I don't think it's awful. But anyway, I know it's not the most popular one, but I like it.
There's a great 40-minute episode, absolutely jam-packed, crammed into a 2-hour runtime. You know, if it was a 40-minute episode, it'd be fine. It's just, yeah, it goes on and on and on. Watched the Blu-ray issue the other day, and I'm like,
it's like some fans took Obi-Wan, the series, and have re-edited it down into like a 1.5 hour long movie. And it's supposed to be really good. I'd love to see that edit.
Yeah.
Well, I enjoyed Obi-Wan, but I could see how that would work. Originally it was a film, and then COVID happened, and they went, well, we can't really release the film right now. And we don't know when we can, so let's make it, as I said, let's make it a mini-series. But
Plus they want to drive more people to their streaming platform rather than to the cinemas. So.
Yeah.
For the 6 episodes, they had, I don't know, I'm going to say 50 million or something for 6 episodes. It was a lot of money to make that show. And I mean, I don't know what, like, I mean, fair play, it looks great, but you know, like the 3D background, like the, whatever they call it, you know, the virtual screen.
Yeah, those big screens, yeah.
Yeah, that's already paid for by the Mandalorians.
Yeah.
You didn't have to pay for that. They already had it. So
yeah,
that cost 2 or 3 million on its own. But yeah, they spent a lot of money on it. Although I'm sure.
Anyway,
Star Trek.
Get you ready. Scores 5, 4, 3. Oh, Tavikins, your paddle is in the post.
Have you made your own scoreboard again?
Yeah, she's made her own.
Okay.
You'll have a paddle for next week. 3, 2, 1, go.
Go.
A 5, 5, and a 7.
A 7 from the Tavikins.
She's gone big. She's gone big.
That's because Brent was in charge for half the episode. That's why.
I put a lot of data in this one for her, didn't I? So she really enjoyed seeing all those beautiful pictures of Brent Spiner.
You can manipulate your score by 2 points, but depending on how many screenshots have Brent in it.
Yeah, I'll try that. Next week.
All the Brent shots, and they give like 2s for the next episode.
Next week.
Yeah, he helped it, and there was a profile of his ass, so in one of those shots, so they did a good job.
Well, I did not
like
even
this
notice
one because
that.
they kept to the. Yeah, they see, you know, that's why I'm here.
Yeah.
But no, I like this one specifically because despite how cringeworthy it was throughout, they were hardcore real on how it is when you actually lose that behavior or lose some sort of ability. Like she was showing out, like I've seen actual people show out. So I'm like, you know what? That's real though. I like how they made that real.
Yeah,
so she acted it very well, and I know that Maurice
Marina
Marina
Sirtis.
Sirtis.
has
Marina,
yeah,
sorry.
Marina Sirtis, that she has she's complained about the character, but having to actually just suck it up and play this this rich girl bimbo, and just play it. You know what? She played it.
Yeah.
Well,
She got
I
out
think
there and she just played it.
they parodied themselves. Do you remember the episode where Barkley has all his holiday characters, and
Yeah.
and they have him as she has her as the goddess of love.
Empathy.
Yes.
It's the
I think they were
the goddess of
parodying
empathy.
themselves.
Yeah.
Yeah, they were basically making fun of the fact that they didn't give her good character development. But she was just she was a little bit too soft around the edges. At the end of the day, she's enrolled in the military. I know she's a counselor, but you need to have a certain amount of cop on if you're living on a ship. You can't just be airy fairy about the place.
You could be, but I went through basic training with the most idiotic female that I've ever seen. Trainee Fox, Jesus Christ. It turned out she was a general's daughter and her husband was a captain, and somehow she had signed up for enlistment.
Yikes! Okay,
and not as an officer.
Yeah.
Wow.
Entitled.
So that's how
with a capital
freaking
E.
ding she was that dumb. And so she was going through basic training with the rest of us. and I gave it to her because I was an element leader, and she was constantly an idiot. And I was like, thank God you didn't join the enlisted corps. I mean the officer corps. I can't imagine you being in charge of anything.
people. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, my understanding on the ship is that any one person can be responsible for the lives of everyone else on the ship, so everyone has to be clued in. You can't, so a character like Deanna in a real situation, you might not be an engineer, but you see a hole, you have to try and plug it, kind of thing. So I maybe okay, it's in the future, but I'm just kind of going, could she really be in Starfleet? Maybe they had her as a civilian on the ship, similar to like a chaplain. That would make more sense. But they actually went, no, she went through the academy, she's got a rank. It doesn't really make sense. I mean, she's lieutenant commander. She's well up there. Later on, she becomes the full commander. It's you're kind of going, and she's technically allowed to take command of the ship. You're like, really? Yeah, I don't think.
Yeah, it's like nope.
So the average from everybody is about 5.8-ish. It's about 6, rounds up to 6.
Did you include Smiler Rainbow 7?
Yes, Smiler agreed, because it was 5.5, right in the middle. But Smiler Rainbow agrees with Tavikins' score of 7, so that bumps it up to an average of 6.
Night, Stu Plum. See you next time. Majram. I have to say, I do agree with Ruth in that I did enjoy the episode more than I thought I would. And this is often the way with these episodes that I don't expect to like. I do find that I enjoy them more than I enjoy the episodes that I choose to watch all the time. So I couldn't really remember what this episode was about.
A 5 is a reflection of a score against a lot of other episodes that are just really very, very excellent, So it's like everything can't be a 7 or a 6 or an 8. It's like I just in reflection, when I think I was going to score it a 6, and then I thought, well, I scored last mission a 6, and actually I just like this one slightly less, so I've gone a little bit lower for that reason.
Yeah.
I just say on that one, Ruth wrote, I enjoy more than expect you to play the loss and disability. TNG did better because there was that episode where Worf gets paralyzed.
Yeah.
He thinks he's going to be paralyzed for life and he wants to end his life. That's a much better episode with the same premise. 10 times better. So, yeah. Well, I agree with the point. TNG actually bettered themselves with that. I think that one comes later. I forget where that comes from.
Yeah.
And I forget the name of the episode as well. But they actually went back and did it better themselves. They won up this episode.
Very good point.
On the scoreboard here, we've got Ruth, who's now got her point, so she automatically goes into the joint bronze position.
Third already, Ruth.
So congratulations, Ruth. You're in joint third place with Sean, Andrew, Mazama, Bob, and Mickey, with Tavikins in second with 3, and Stu Plum still our season leader on 5. What was the audience's average score then? 6. Yeah, that makes it the worst episode in the season so far, but it's still like 5.33, so that's still like,
Still above average.
average.
Episode.
Yeah, it's bang on average. I think, some in season 1 and 2, this would have been a high-scoring episode. I think we would probably have scored it quite high.
I don't think anyone scores episodes 1, 2, or 3. 4 is probably as low as anyone's willing to go, really.
Oh, no, we've done
Code
like
of Honor
zeros,
awful.
haven't we, at certain points?
Oh, we've had a number of like ones, haven't we? Or
Code of Honor,
Well,
or
no,
maybe
it's
Shades of
Justice
Grey.
got a 1. Code of Honor got 3s and
Justice,
2s.
Yeah.
Code of Honor got a 3. Wow.
Angel 1 got a load of 2s.
Oh, yeah, that was
Oh
terrible.
yeah, God.
Too Short a Season got a
That
1.
was- Yeah.
The Skin of Evil got a 1 from you, Mazabab.
Yeah, I hate that.
I mean,
Yeah, that was terrible.
There's pluses and minuses to episode. The good thing about when we had 24 episode seasons is that if you had a 24 episode season and you had 1 or 2 bum episodes here and there, you kind of forgive it because it was a new one next week and you just forget it. But nowadays you get 10 episode seasons or 8 episode seasons. It's much harder to forget when you see a bad episode because it's just.
What about
more
Up the Long
stick in your
Ladder
mind.
and their shameful Irish stereotypes?
Up the long ladder with the Irish got 3, 2, and 1.
That is like
Oh my
gollywog
God,
black
yeah.
and white minstrels offensive. I mean, if they
Yeah.
it is up there with Code of Honor and a similar kind of bad send up.
And Shades
Yeah.
of Grey got the lowest.
I mean, it's similar with Fairhaven. Look, there's very few actors that can do an Irish accent properly, and even if you ask me to do, say, a Mayo accent, I can't do one, or a Dublin accent, or a Northern Irish accent. It's a very, very hard thing to do, and just the effort of not hiring Irish actors to play Irish roles just kills me. It's like there are Irish actors, hire them. The other thing, there was an Irish actor of note. Do you remember this? Do you remember the episode where Data is playing poker with Einstein, Newton, and
Yeah.
Hawking? Sorry.
Yeah.
Yeah, who actually was played by Hawking.
Yeah.
Do you know who played Einstein in that episode?
That was yes, I do know. He's played a number of characters in Star Trek.
Yeah, well, he's most famous to most people of a British or Irish audience as playing Bishop Brennan in Father Ted.
Ah,
They put a heap of makeup on him and they made him Einstein. He looks nothing like it at all. But
Oh, is it?
there's a random fact. So they did have an Irish actor in it, and then they played him as they played him as a German, or was he Austrian? No, German.
so he's Austrian, though, isn't
Einstein, maybe he is. I don't know.
he? Yeah.
But I think they've got better at it. But for the most part, there's very few actors that can convincingly do an Irish accent. And there's a film that came out a year or two ago called Wild Mountain Thyme, and they have what's the name of the actor? I have to look it up. Well, actually, they have Jamie Dornan in it, who's Northern Irish. I have him doing an Irish accent, but it's like diddly dee, how do you go potatoes?
Oh, yeah.
And he's actually Irish, and you go he still managed to, because the director told him to speak like that. It's horrific.
We did give Shades of Grey all 1s. It was just 3 1s. We didn't go really too low on anything in season 3.
Oh, yeah, but season 3 is great.
I think G gave the
Christopher
price
Walken.
2, so that was quite low.
Sorry, there's a film out there called Wild Mountain Thyme, and Christopher Walken tries to do an Irish accent. He's clearly Christopher Walken, but he actually does the best Irish
There's
accent in the whole
probably
film.
hundreds of examples of really poor Irish accents in
Christopher
Hollywood.
Walken can only do Christopher Walken, though, can he?
Yeah, well, he actually does a better. And John Hamm, the guy from that advertising show, what was that called? Emily, yeah. Anyway, he actually does a better Irish accent than Jamie Dornan, who's from Ireland. So inexplicably, but
Yeah.
at the same time, you still go and that's still him. That's still Christopher Walken. He still has the inflection.
Okay, there we go. Go on, carry on talking amongst yourselves. A minute.
Sorry, off topic.
No, I thought, are we not going to see the trailer?
I'm just
for
queuing up.
next week's
Data's Day.
episode?
Data's Day is the next
Data's
episode.
Day.
I'm gonna
Travis
see-
Turner.
just-
I'm super excited
Just
about next week.
especially, I'm going to see how many pictures can I find with not Data in it, and in an
yeah.
episode
Oh, yeah.
all about Data.
The double doing all the dancing. Yeah.
Do a
I love
reverse.
it.
Shall I
I
do
love
that?
it. It's going to hurt you, Tabitha.
Don't you dare, Monty. Oh my God. I had to go through that one episode where it was not about Data at all. Don't you dare
A
do
joy-
this. You need to find pictures that don't even have anything to do with the episode of Data. Just go on Pinterest and just load them up.
Load 'em up.
Well, I will say Brent Spiner is left-handed, so when they use like photo doubles and you see the person doing the photo doubling, like do the hand doubling using their right hand a lot, it's really obvious. Or it's more obvious when they use doubles because he's left-handed. Put it that way. And I always notice it.
Right, here's the trailer for the next episode.
A joyous day on the Enterprise.
It is my honor to unite together two people.
But for Commander Data, it's the beginning of a struggle to find his place in the universe.
I need your help.
Data, it's not that simple.
Forever isolated in a human world.
I believe I have much to offer.
Will he ever feel life's most cherished emotions? Find out on Star Trek: The Next Generation.
I think we might have some more lyrics to Pogo coming in this episode, because I think there's a scene where he's tidying up some girls' quarters.
This is. I don't think that's the episode.
No,
where
that's,
he's
that's
one?
for In Theory.
Oh, is
That's
it?
for In Theory.
Oh, that's In Theory. Oh, damn it, it's not this episode.
Whatever it is.
That one.
Yeah.
That one.
Another
That
one.
bit.
Yeah. That's the one. A girl takes a shine to him, tries to date him, and he doesn't get it. It's just going.
I thought it might have been this episode.
I don't even understand the way her mind thinks, because first of all, I'm going, you just kissed a senior officer, bitch. You better get on that, okay? Because you're in trouble. It's like, you do not do that in uniform and on duty. So I'm like, you're not going all in.
I remember back in the 90s, there was a computer shop we used to go look at games in, and they had a screensaver of Data dancing, and he would be doing like the foxtrot. He'd like demonstrate different dances and the steps. I don't know if anyone remembers this, but you can get a Data screensaver of him doing the steps, and it's obviously goes back to this episode. So there's a very random memory. So if you can find the old screensaver, maybe there's a video of it on YouTube. You can find the Data screensaver of him doing the foxtrot and the various different like the classic dances.
She won.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Oh my God. I'm in love with that man.
Smiler Rainbow has used a very powerful veto to veto my idea of trying to not put Data in the pictures for the next episode. So I'm not allowed to do that. Smiler has laid down the law.
Oh, thank you, Smiler.
But so that is next week, Data's Day. Then, unfortunately for you Star Trek fans out there, we're going to have to take a break. We're going to be on a summer holiday. I'm going to be away for a couple of weeks.
We'll just rewatch the Data one.
There is a video After Dark Data dances. If you look it up on YouTube, and you can see Data on the little steps and things of the cha-cha and a few different dances.
What?
So if you have it there, Monty, you might be able to pull it up.
Data. Was it After Dark?
Yeah, I just said Data dances After Dark screensaver. Yeah.
Hang on.
He's gonna find it.
Well, I'll find it.
I'm looking right now.
Well, I never bought it, but it was just on the screensavers and like the test computers in the computer. So yeah, you can have it as a screensaver and it actually shows the steps.
Oh my gosh! I found it.
Aww.
There you go. I was like, am I making that up? No, that was a real thing.
So cute.
Honestly, when I started talking about Green Dash, I was like, no, it's real. It happened.
Look at him go. Hang on, so if I
Now he's going to see, can you get that for a modern day computer? It's still possible to run it.
look at those hips go.
Oh, look at those hips.
Oh, it's lots of cha-cha.
Very much a lot of cha-cha.
Yeah, I remember.
I'm not gonna lie, I'm gonna watch this later.
Yeah, honestly, in my mind, I was like, am I making this up? Did I dream this? I was like, no, because I hadn't thought about it for 30 years until that episode that you just showed that trailer. And I went, oh, yeah, I remember that.
Smiley says, careful of music in case you get
Well, I don't think that could possibly be copyrighted in any way. I don't know if those computer bleeps could be discerned as anything, but yeah, I think we're safe. I think we're safe there with that one.
We're watching Data's Day next week.
Yes,
Exciting.
but yeah, sorry, no, we're on holiday for 3 weeks. We'll be off for 3 weeks. So yes, for summer
Data
holidays.
Days, hold it off.
Yes,
What a nice one to end on.
but we're ending on Data's Day, and then we'll come back 3 weeks later for the Wounded. Yeah. So anyway, that was The Loss. Thank you to Mazma Bob and Tavikins Turner and Sean O'Sullivan. Thank you for coming in. Thank you for joining the stream again.
By the way, Sean, just because of last time, you don't have to leave immediately.
Yeah,
as we end the
don't go. Stay for a minute.
He ran off.
Yeah.
There's an after party.
Don't disappear. Yep. So thank you to Stu Plum and Ruth Bryce. Congratulations to you for getting your first score on the board. Thank you, Karen, for coming along and playing our little game, and my ever-suffering wrench, Smile a Rainbow. We will see you at the same time, 8 o'clock next Wednesday, for another episode of TNG. We'll see you then. But for now, good night.
Bye.
Night.